Chapter 322. Lin Jiej drove all the way to Shi Yao's house before he finally stepped on the brakes. After turning off the engine, Lin Jiej got out of the car and glanced at Shi Yao's house. Except for one room which had a faint light, the other rooms were all pitch black. So, Soft Bun was already asleep? Had that boy already left her house? He admitted that he didn't know much about Soft Bun, but he knew that she was an only child, so she didn't have any older or younger brothers. So who was that man? Who was he to her? From their conversation he could tell that there was something amiss between the two of them. Could it be that Soft Bun and that man? For some reason Lin Jiej, who didn't dare to think any further, suddenly recalled the first message Shi Yao had sent him. Lin Jiej, it's Shi Yao. The reason why I'm looking for you is to tell you that we should cancel our engagement. Annulment of the engagement. That's right. How could he have forgotten? Ever since he found out about her existence 6 years ago until now, she had never looked for him. The first time she had looked for him was to annul the engagement. He did wonder why she, who had never thought of rejecting this marriage in the past 6 years, would suddenly want to cancel their engagement. But he had never looked into the matter. So, could it be that the reason why she wanted to cancel their engagement was because of that man? With this thought in mind, Lin Jiej suddenly realized how frighteningly anxious he was. Did Soft Bun really have someone she liked? If Soft Bun really did have someone she liked, what should he do? Could he be like Xia Shangzhou, only to have the flames of love extinguished as soon as he realized that he had fallen in love? If it was really as he had guessed, that Soft Bun really had someone she liked and she wanted to cancel their engagement for him, what would he do? Would he selfishly keep her for the sake of his love? A grim expression appeared on Lin Jiej's face. Even though it was just a conjecture, he couldn't help but seriously consider this question. Time slowly trickled by. The night grew darker and darker, and when the surroundings were so quiet that only the chirping of insects could be heard, Lin Jiej finally grasped the answer in his heart. If what he guessed was true, if she really had someone she liked, if she really wanted to break off the engagement with him for the person she liked, then he was willing to back out, willing to use the happiness he wanted to give her happiness. This was bad, this was really bad. It seemed like he liked her more than he had imagined. Otherwise, why would he always put himself in her shoes and think about her happiness? He had really fallen into her hands, and he had fallen very, very deeply. It wasn't as simple as just being poisoned by Soft Bun. Rather, the poison had already seeped into his bones and there was no cure for it. Lin Jiej didn't leave Shi Yao's place for the entire night. At 8 o'clock the next morning, Shi Yao walked out of the building. Lin Jiej's first thought was to hide. Just as he was contemplating whether he should drive away or lay down in the car, he suddenly recalled how he had secretly taken out her purse and tossed it under the passenger seat so that she wouldn't pay the bill. It had been a while. Although the car was washed every day, if it wasn't maintained, it wouldn't be discovered under normal circumstances. With such thoughts in mind, Lin Jiej cautiously looked down at the passenger seat. Chapter 323. With this thought in mind, Lin Jiej tried to peer beneath the passenger seat. Then he realized that her purse was really still there. Even the heavens are helping me. With this thought in mind, Lin Jiej took out Shi Yao's purse. Now that he had a shield, he unscrupulously pressed the horn. The ear-piercing sound of the horn attracted the gazes of those who had woken up early in the morning. Of course, this included Shi Yao as well. As she was the closest to Lin Jiej's car, the sound of the horn was also the most piercing to her ears. As such, when she turned her head around, her face was filled with displeasure. However, when she saw Lin Jiej's face through the windshield, she couldn't help but be taken aback for a moment. Then she began making her way over to Lin Jiej's car. When Shi Yao was about to reach his car, Lin Jiej pushed open the car door and got out with Shi Yao's purse. When Shi Yao saw Lin Jiej getting out of the car, she subconsciously wanted to ask why he was here. But before her words could reach her throat, she saw the t-shirt he was wearing. It was actually green, and it was a bright green at that. Shi Yao's footsteps came to an abrupt halt. She even forgot about the question she wanted to ask Lin Jiej. When Lin Jiej saw Shi Yao, his first thought was to say that he had her purse with him. But before he could say anything, he realized that Shi Yao was looking at him with a bizarre expression. Why is she looking at me like that? Is there something wrong with me? With this thought in mind, Lin Jiej lowered his head to look at where Shi Yao was looking at him. When he came into contact with his glowing green t-shirt, he immediately understood why Shi Yao would have such a reaction. Lin Jiege didn't say anything. A moment later, when he saw that Shi Yao was still staring at his t-shirt, he asked, "Is there something wrong with my shirt?" Hearing Lin Jiege's question, Shi Yao hurriedly shifted her gaze from Lin Jiege's clothes to his face. Perplexed, she replied politely, It's not strange at all. Why are you still staring at it?" Lin Jiege didn't expose Shi Yao. Instead, he replied with an "oh" before asking, "Then what do you think of the color of my t-shirt?" She really wanted to say that it wasn't much, but Shi Yao suppressed her emotions and replied calmly, It's pretty green." Lin Jiege recalled the stifled feelings he had for the entire night, and his tone became a little gloomy. "Do you think this color looks good?" Green wasn't a problem, but this t-shirt. It was really hard to describe. However, Shi Yao still didn't dare to speak the truth because she noticed that there was something wrong with Lin Jiege's gaze and tone. She wasn't sure if it was her imagination, but for an instant she felt that his gaze was a little sorrowful. Shi Yao's heart skipped a beat in fright at her own misconception. Then, with a smile on her face, she said her first sincere words to Lin Jiege that day, "The color is pretty bright." "I know. Green, the kind that gives off light." Lin Jiege spoke up once more, and this time his voice was a little deeper than before. "What should I do?" She felt that Lin Jiege was sorrowful once more, and it was even more sorrowful than before. Just as Shi Yao was at a loss as to how she should reply to Lin Jiege, someone suddenly called out to her, "Baby Yao." Chapter 324. Just as Shi Yao was at a loss as to how she should respond to Lin Jiege's words, someone suddenly called out her name, "Baby Yao Yao, Yao Yao, baby Yao Yao?" That tone, that voice, it's clearly the man from last night. Reflexively, Lin Jiege abruptly turned his head toward the source of the voice. A man dressed in a black short-sleeved shirt had just walked out of Shi Yao's building and was currently walking toward her. In the instant that voice sounded, Shi Yao instinctively turned her head around as well. She wanted to respond to the person who called out to her, but before she could open her mouth, she felt a chill at the back of her head. Shi Yao subconsciously shot a glance at Lin Jiege behind her, but other than staring fixedly at the area in front of her, he didn't seem to be behaving abnormally. "This is really weird. Why would I suddenly have such a feeling?" With such thoughts in mind, Shi Yao raised her hand and scratched the back of her head. In the short 10 seconds that Shi Yao had turned around to look at Lin Jiege, the man had already walked up to her back. At the same time, in this short span of 10 seconds, Lin Jiege had already discreetly assessed the young man from head to toe, and he made a clear comparison between himself and the young man. "The man's looks aren't bad. But compared to me, his eyes are a little smaller, his nose bridge is a little shorter, his mouth is a little bigger, his facial features are a little less defined, and even his skin isn't as fair and smooth as mine. His height isn't too bad either. But compared to me, he's still a little short. Even his body proportions are a little lacking. On top of that, he's wearing a pair of shorts, causing his leg hair to be a little too lush. His hairstyle isn't good enough and his clothes aren't up to standard either. For a man like him to actually wear earrings. And those hands of his fingers aren't long enough." While Lin Jiege was racking his brains to compare himself to the man noticed that Shi Yao was ignoring him after he called out to her, so he called out once more, "Baby Yao Yao." As he spoke, he even reached out his hand and lightly flicked Shi Yao's head. Does this man even have the most basic upbringing? If you want to talk, you should just talk nicely. Why are you getting physical in broad daylight? As if glued in, Lin Jiege's eyes were glued to the finger that had just flicked Shi Yao's head. On the other hand, Shi Yao wasn't displeased by the young man's actions. Instead, she pouted her lips innocently before turning to glare at the young man. "Haven't I told you many times not to hit my head for no good reason? That's right, she doesn't even want you to touch her." Lin Jiege stared fixedly at the young man's fingers as he criticized him in his mind. Just as he was cursing in his heart, he had a mental breakdown. "Didn't I tell you many times?" In other words, this boy had flicked her head many times. The boy grinned and replied, "Who asked you to be so short?" Shi Yao didn't seem to mind those words at all. "Why did you come down?" They started chatting just like that. As if he didn't exist? Lin Jiege's gaze was fixed on the young man's finger, and he feigned a sore throat as he cleared his throat. The boy, "I'm afraid that you'll be lonely and cold, so I thought about it and decided to accompany you for breakfast." "Shi Yao, I'll have to thank you then." Chapter 325. Who's going to follow you? Also, didn't she hear the sound I made earlier? Lin Jiege waited for a few seconds, but seeing that Shi Yao was still ignoring him, he cleared his throat once more. This time his voice was much heavier than before. Male student. Right, baby Yao, what are we eating? Shi Yao's eyes lit up. I haven't thought about it yet. I want to eat wontons, youtiao and Grandpa Wang's buns. Male student. Baby Yao, why don't we buy some youtiao and have some wontons at the wonton restaurant? After that, we'll take some of Grandpa Wang's buns home for lunch. Shi Yao seemed to be very satisfied with this arrangement, and her eyes curved into crescents as she replied, Sure, sure. Staring at Shi Yao's smiling face, Lin Jiege coughed twice heavily. Can soft buns threshold for humor be that low? Also, this male student is clearly using a cheat. How can he suddenly mention food to soft bun? The male student replied gleefully, How is it? Baby Yao, after listening to my arrangements, do you think that I'm very smart? Shi Yao nodded. Vice, you call this smart? Do you have some kind of misunderstanding about the word smart? But before Shi Yao could finish her words, Lin Jiege, who had been ignored for quite a while, didn't give her the chance to speak. With a stifled groan, he bent over and placed one hand on his abdomen while using the other to support the front of the car. Fearing that Shi Yao would continue to ignore him, Lin Jiege intentionally bumped into Shi Yao's shoulder as he bent over. Shi Yao turned her head around in bewilderment, and upon seeing Lin Jiege's expression, a frown suddenly appeared on her forehead. With a concerned look she asked, What's wrong? Facing Shi Yao's concern, Lin Jiege waved his hands casually, seemingly trying his best to hold back something as he replied, It's nothing. After replying, Lin Jiege sneaked a glance at the male student. Do you think that you're the only one who knows how to use a cheat to steal the show? Who doesn't know how to do it? From this moment onward, I'll show you what it means to have the acting skills of an Oscar winner. With this thought in mind, Lin Jiege made the pained expression on his face even more apparent. In order to make it seem more realistic, he even shuddered a little. Seeing his reaction, Shi Yao became even more nervous. You call this nothing? Where do you feel uncomfortable? Shi Yao asked as she assessed Lin Jiege. Seeing that he was clutching his abdomen, she asked, Is your stomach feeling uncomfortable? Lin Jiege looked as if he was in so much pain that he couldn't speak at all. He held his breath and nodded his head slightly. A moment later he finally said softly, I was a little busy recently, so I didn't eat properly. As a result, my stomach ailments acted up. Actually, I felt better yesterday. Then, I made an appointment with my friends to come to the suburbs for a vacation. After watching the sunrise in the morning when I was driving back to the resort to have breakfast, I found your wallet in the car. I was afraid that you wouldn't be able to find it and would be worried. Thinking that the resort is close to your house, I quickly drove over to send it to you. Did you see that, kid? That's what true intelligence is. Not only would he be able to win Soft Bun's concern, but he would also be able to win Soft Bun's heartache as well. After all, he had endured the pain of his illness and delivered it to her as soon as he found out that she had lost her purse. With such thoughts in mind, Lin Jiege suddenly sucked in a deep breath of cold air, as if he couldn't bear the pain any longer. Then he continued. It's probably because I didn't have a good dinner last night and I haven't had breakfast yet either. My stomach is acting up again. Chapter 326. Looking at the wallet that she had been searching for days to no avail, Shi Yao became even more worried for Lin Jiege. Do you need me to accompany you to the hospital? There's no need for that. Lin Jiege waved his hands casually. Then, as if in excruciating pain, he tugged on his bright green t-shirt so hard that it deformed. I'll be fine after I return to the hotel and take some medicine. I've already delivered the wallet to you. If there's nothing else, I'll be leaving first. After saying those words, Lin Jiege reached out to open the car door, but he was unable to do so no matter how hard he tried. He was unable to open the car door. I'm already in so much pain that I can't even open the car door, so how am I supposed to drive? Shi Yao pondered for a moment before raising her head to look at the floor where her apartment was located. Then without any hesitation she made up her mind and said, Why don't you head over to my place and rest for a while? I'll get you some stomach medicine so that you can leave after the pain has subsided, alright? Lad, do you think that you're the only one who's been to Yao Yao's place? And now, I can do it too. Having fulfilled his wish, Lin Jiege couldn't wait to fly over to Shi Yao's place. Yet he still replied with a gentlemanly tone, "Is it convenient?" "Of course it's convenient," Shi Yao replied. Then she asked, "Can you walk by yourself? Do you need me to lend you a hand?" Lin Jie didn't turn her down. He replied with a thank you before allowing Shi Yao to hold his arm and help him into the building. In order to not expose himself, Lin Jie intentionally slowed down his footsteps. Shi Yao's apartment wasn't too big, roughly around 100 square meters in size. However, it was decorated warmly. Her parents weren't home, so Shi Yao took a look at Lin Jie's condition after entering the apartment. After a moment of hesitation, she brought him to her bedroom and said, "Can you rest on my bed for a while?" Soft Bun's bedroom and the bed that Soft Bun is sleeping on. Suppressing the joy in his heart, Lin Jie weakly nodded his head and replied with a polite but restrained thank you. After helping Lin Jie to his seat, Shi Yao went to look for the medicine box and fed him some stomach medicine. Lin Jie, who didn't feel any stomachache at all, didn't even blink as he swallowed the medicine that Shi Yao fed him. After taking the medicine, Shi Yao poured a cup of warm water for Lin Jie and said, "Your stomach is hurting so much, so it's best if you don't eat anything outside. Can I cook some porridge for you?" Lin Jie nodded and said reservedly, "I'll be troubling you then. You should rest first then." Shi Yao was still a little worried, so before heading to the kitchen she instructed the young man, "Go and take a look at him. If anything happens you'll be able to help him." The young man didn't reject Shi Yao's request. He really entered Shi Yao's bedroom, sat down on the chair and casually picked up a comic book to accompany Lin Jie. Roughly 2 minutes later, Lin Jie's eyes darted around as he asked, "Can you help me up? I need to go to the washroom." The man put down the comic and walked over to the bed. He was just about to reach out to help Lin Jie up when Lin Jie suddenly fell to the floor. Didn't he have a close relationship with Soft Bun? Didn't he say that he was the person that Soft Bun cared about the most in the world? Very well then, I'll accuse him of intentionally failing to catch him and causing him to fall to the ground. Lin Jie, who had already planned everything out, really wanted to cry out in pain in order to attract Shi Yao's attention. But before he could make a sound, the bedroom door suddenly opened, and Shi Yao walked in wearing an apron. "Right, Lin Jie. I forgot to introduce him to you. He's my younger brother." Chapter 327. Younger brother? As those 2 words echoed in his ears, Lin Jie felt as if someone had poured a bucket of cold water over his head. His body stiffened and with an incredulous look on his face, he exclaimed in astonishment, "Younger brother?" The man who had left him feeling stifled for an entire night and whom he was currently vying for was Soft Bun's younger brother. In other words, he was his brother-in-law in name? Soft Bun's younger brother was no different from his own younger brother. Someone whom he had to fawn over, not someone whom he had to scheme against. Wait a minute, isn't Soft Bun an only child? How could she have a younger brother? Could he be an illegitimate child that her father or mother secretly gave birth to outside? Pui, just how am I thinking of my father-in-law and mother-in-law? Lin Jie hurriedly tossed these random thoughts out of his head. He was just about to ask Shi Yao where her younger brother came from when Shi Yao, who had heard his astonished tone, suddenly spoke up, "That's right. To be more precise, he's my younger cousin, the son of my aunt who is also my father's elder sister. He's the same age as me but he's 5 months younger than me. Due to his birthday being too late, he wasn't able to attend primary school together with me, so he's currently in his 3rd year of high school, and he'll be taking his college entrance examination next month. So he wasn't an illegitimate child but his younger cousin. In other words, he was his younger cousin and his younger cousin's brother-in-law. But a younger cousin was still a younger brother and a younger cousin was still a younger cousin. He wasn't someone whom he could easily scheme against." While Lin Jie was still trying to wrap his head around the matter, Shi Yao suddenly realized that Lin Jie was lying on the floor. With a frown on her forehead she asked, "Lin Jie, why are you on the floor?" Hearing those words, Lin Jie replied without any hesitation, "Oh, I had a stomachache so I wanted to go to the washroom. I lost my balance and fell down. It has nothing to do with my younger brother." Shi Yao and her cousin turned to look at Lin Jie. "Cousin? He fell down? Why did you drag him down?" "Shi Yao? He was just asking out of concern. Why did he mention her younger brother?" Lin Jie was stunned for 2 seconds before he realized that he had been too nervous, that he had nearly exposed his thoughts. Thus he quickly explained, I'm just worried that you might misunderstand. Oh, is that so? Shi Yao walked over to Lin Jie and helped him up. At the same time she suddenly recalled something and said, I almost forgot, I haven't finished introducing him yet. His name is Nanchong Gu Nanchong. He's the Nanchong who refused to turn back even after crashing into a wall. Gu Nanchong, who had been quiet all this while, protested unhappily, Baby Yao, I've told you many times, don't use this line when you introduce me. Completely unfazed by Gu Nanchong's displeasure, Shi Yao turned to him and said, He's Lin Jie. I believe I don't need to introduce him to you. Seeing that Gu Nanchong wasn't saying a word, Shi Yao spoke up once more, Hurry up and greet him. Like a puppy, Gu Nanchong obediently replied with an oath before turning to Lin Jie and greeting him, Nice to meet you, brother-in-law. This time it was Shi Yao's turn to panic. Seemingly embarrassed by Gu Nanchong calling her brother-in-law, her face reddened slightly as she protested, Gu Nanchong, what nonsense are you talking about? After saying those words, Shi Yao turned to Lin Jie, wanting to tell him not to mind it. He pulled off the blanket, got off the bed and walked out of the bedroom. Shi Yao and Gu Nanchong sat at the dining table. Shi Yao spoke softly to the examination papers on the table. For some reason Lin Jie found the sight before him to be very warm and beautiful. He stared at it for a moment before making his way over. Only when he got closer did he realize that Shi Yao was explaining the English paper to Gu Nanchong. Gu Nanchong was the first to notice that someone was approaching. He turned his head around to look at Lin Jie. Chapter 329. Upon seeing Lin Jie, Shi Yao's reprimanding Gu Nanchong stopped abruptly, and even her tone became much gentler. You're awake? Lin Jie replied with an I'm sorry. I wasn't paying attention and accidentally fell asleep. It's fine. Shi Yao smiled lightly. Is your stomach still hurting? Lin Jie nodded silently. Shi Yao poked Gu Nanchong's head with her pen, indicating for him to pay attention. Gu Nanchong raised his hand indignantly and rubbed his head, but he still turned his gaze back to the paper. After she was done, Shi Yao turned her head around and her gaze met with Lin Jie's. Shi Yao's fingers trembled slightly as she held onto her pen. She finally said what she wanted to say, Why don't we go out for lunch? My parents went out with a tour group 2 days ago, so there's nothing to eat at home. Without any hesitation Lin Jie replied with a sure. They had lunch near Shi Yao's house. Lin Jie couldn't possibly just sit around, so he tried to find a topic to talk about after sitting down. Considering that Gu Nanchong had been working so hard on his papers over the weekend, it was likely that his results were pretty good. Thus he found a topic that he could praise later on and asked, Given how diligent my younger brother is, his results must be really good, right? In this month's mock exam he scored a 0 out of 750. Without giving Gu Nanchong a chance to speak, Shi Yao continued, It's precisely because I had to keep an eye on him that I went home. But I didn't find the right topic? Lin Jie pondered for 2 seconds before replying, It's fine, it's just a mock exam. It doesn't mean anything. Shi Yao, oh, he scored a 0 in the previous mock exam too, the one before that and the one before that too? My aunt was furious. She said that even if he doesn't know anything he should at least try his luck and stop handing in blank papers. Do you know how he replied to her? He said that he couldn't, that he was afraid that he would change history by answering the questions. He even said that he was a transmigrator from the future, and that he was only following the course of history. It wasn't that he didn't find the right topic, but that he had nearly failed in his flattery. Not wanting to offend his cousin's brother-in-law, Lin Jie tried his best to salvage the situation. It's just academic performance. It doesn't mean anything and it can't define a person's life. I can't say for sure, but that shouldn't be an excuse to not study hard. Shi Yao replied disapprovingly. Damn it, I was so focused on coaxing my brother-in-law that I forgot about soft bun. Lin Jie hurriedly nodded his head. That's right. As a student, learning is still our main priority. As he said those words, Lin Jie discreetly observed Shi Yao's expression, and he noticed that most of the disapproval in her eyes had disappeared. After a moment of contemplation he said, It's just as well. Didn't you say that you're going to do the mathematics and science papers in the afternoon? I don't have much to do so I can help him with his lessons. The disapproval in Shi Yao's eyes was quickly replaced by gratitude. Thank you, Lin Jiege. Lin Jiege's anxious heart finally calmed down. It's only right. Thus, throughout the entire meal, Lin Jiege no longer dared to casually look for a conversation topic. By the time Lin Jiege was done with Gu Nanxiang's mathematics and science papers, it was already dusk. After staying in Shi Yao's house for an entire day, Lin Jiege finally decided to leave in satisfaction. Chapter 330. Shi Yao sent Lin Jiege down the stairs. Before getting into the car, Lin Jiege glanced at the glowing green t-shirt he was wearing through the rearview mirror, and he couldn't help but frown. Last night he thought that he had been cuckolded, so he decided to wear a green t-shirt. But today he realized that the person who had cuckolded him was actually his brother-in-law. After a moment of contemplation, Lin Jiege asked Shi Yao before getting into the car, "Is my t-shirt a little weird?" "It's not that. I've never seen you wear such an exaggerated color before, so I was a little surprised at first," Shi Yao replied honestly. In truth, with Lin Jiege's looks and figure he could probably wear any kind of color. Putting aside her initial surprise, this green t-shirt was actually quite nice. After a moment of silence, Shi Yao added, "Besides, I do like the color green. For example, my favorite watermelon and honeydew in summer are also green." Hearing those words, Lin Jiege felt reassured. Me too. I think the color green isn't too bad either." The road back home was a little congested. Lin Jiege left Shi Yao's house at 5, and by the time he reached his own home, it was already 7:30. A second after his car drove into the courtyard, the servants in the house immediately burst into an uproar. "Young master's back. Hurry up and hide madam's emerald earrings. Also, move old master's plants to the greenhouse on the top floor. Put young Miss Flowers in her bedroom for now. Also, cover Mister's painting with a cloth. Don't forget to hide the apple well. Also, your clothes are green, remember to change them." After the car came to a stop, Lin Jiege flicked his keys and entered the house. While he was changing his shoes, he noticed that the famous painting hanging on the wall was actually covered by a cloth. Frowning, he turned to a servant and said, "What are you doing? Why would a painting be covered by a cloth? Don't you know how expensive that painting is? It's the work of a master and hanging it in the house is just for show. If you cover it for me, what's the point of me buying it?" Back at Shi Yao's house, Lin Jiege had eaten an apple that Shi Yao had washed personally while he was explaining the questions to Gu Nanxiang. As he walked upstairs he said, "Oh, wash some apples for me and send them up. Also the clothes I'm wearing, come and get them later. Help me wash them. I'll be taking them back to school tomorrow." After confirming that he had nothing else to say, Lin Jiege walked into his bedroom and closed the door, leaving the servants staring at one another in bewilderment. "Didn't you hate green and apples before you left?" She picked on all the greenery in the house and even threatened to never let him see apples again. Why did his taste change after leaving for less than 24 hours? The young master's heart was like a needle in the sea. That night, Lin Jiege looked for Shi Yao to play with her as usual. The person who logged into her game tonight was not Gu Nanwal but herself. Around 10:30, Shi Yao announced that she was calling it a day. Perplexed, Lin Jiege sent a private message to Shi Yao via WeChat. "Isn't it still early? There's no class tomorrow. Why aren't you playing?" Soon Shi Yao replied to his WeChat. "I'm heading to the hospital to visit a grandfather who treats me very well tomorrow morning." Is she going to visit my grandfather? So, as long as I wake up early tomorrow morning and head to the hospital, I'll be able to see Soft Bun just like today. Chapter 331. However, in order to ensure the authenticity of the information, Lin Jiege still asked Shi Yao a question out of curiosity. "Is your grandfather hospitalized?" "Yao loves ice cream. He's not my real grandfather, but he treats me like one. As expected, it's time to visit my grandfather." Hiding the identity of less than 111,111 in front of Soft Bun sure is beneficial. Not only could he use two identities to treat her well and improve her impression of him by twofold, he could also act as a spy. For example, the information he had sent tonight would allow him to have an unexpected encounter with her at the hospital tomorrow. With this thought in mind, Lin Jiege continued typing. "Oh. Are you going to wake up very early tomorrow? Yao loves ice cream." I'll be heading out at 7. If she were to take the subway to the hospital, she should be able to reach there around 8:30. Having more or less understood the situation, Lin Jiege didn't dawdle anymore. All right then. Have an early rest. Good night. Not too long later, Lin Jiege received Shi Yao's reply. It was a good night emoticon. Lin Jiege didn't respond to Shi Yao's message. Instead, he put down his phone and gazed at the night sky outside the window. As the fragrance of flowers drifted in from the garden downstairs, he began fantasizing about how he would meet Shi Yao tomorrow. As he thought about it, the corners of his lips curled up into a very subtle smile. However, that smile didn't last for too long before he sighed softly. What should I do? It hasn't even been half an hour since I chatted with Soft Bun, and I'm already thinking of her again. Early the next morning, Lin Jiege woke up. Perhaps it was because he rarely woke up so early, but when he went downstairs, the maids were staring at him in astonishment. On the other hand, Lin Jiege calmly walked into the kitchen, and under the maids' astonished gazes he said leisurely, "For breakfast I want glutinous rice balls, mango pudding, steamed eggs with milk, tofu pancakes, puffs, and 8 treasures porridge, meat buns and wontons." Lin Jiege listed out everything he knew that Shi Yao had eaten in his house. After a moment of thought he added, "And yogurt and cherry apples. Remember to pack them up for me. I'll be bringing them to the hospital. Make enough for 4 people." After confirming that there was nothing more to add, Lin Jiege prepared to leave the dining hall. But just as he was about to leave, he suddenly felt a little uneasy, so he halted his footsteps and asked the maid, "Did you take down everything I said earlier?" The servant nodded. However, Lin Jiege didn't believe it. "Forget it, I think that you might have missed it. Why don't you turn on the recording function and record it down?" The servant wanted to say that she had recorded everything down, but when she saw the slight frown on Lin Jiege's face, she decided that it was better to avoid unnecessary trouble. She turned on her phone and recorded everything that Lin Jiege had said. The maid thought that this was the end of the recording, but who could have thought that Lin Jiege would actually ask her to play the recording once more? After the recording was over, she finally escorted the living bodhisattva out of the dining room. While the servants were preparing breakfast, Lin Jiege took the time to take a bath and do his hair. He even took out the skincare products that he had never used before and applied them to his face. After confirming that there was nothing wrong with his face and hairstyle, Lin Jiege walked into the changing room and began picking out his clothes. Chapter 332. Coincidentally, by the time Lin Jiege arrived at the living room, the servants had already packed up breakfast. Lin Jiege was usually a dazzling sight, but today he had specially groomed himself, and his radiance was so dazzling that it could blind anyone's eyes. As such, the servants kept sneaking glances at him while they were delivering the breakfast to the car. As Lin Jiege approached the car, the lock opened automatically. While the 2 servants were placing the breakfast into the car trunk, they were secretly conversing with one another. "Young master, you look strangely handsome today." Strangely handsome? Standing in front of the car, Lin Jiege's sharp ears overheard the servant's words, and a slight frown appeared on his forehead. What kind of description was that? Indeed. It reminds me of a saying, "A woman dresses up for the man who pleases her." Lin Jiege's frown deepened. "A woman dresses up for the man who pleases her? Is this saying appropriate for me? It's not like I'm a woman." After the 2 servants were done placing the breakfast in the car, Lin Jiege opened the car door, got in and started the engine. As he was driving out of the hospital, Lin Jiege thought to himself, that saying should be "A woman dresses up for Yao. Pui, a man dresses up for Yao. A man can represent all men in the world. Isn't he making a cuckold out of himself?" It should be, Lin Jiege pondered for a moment and a phrase surfaced in his mind, "I dress up for Yao." It was a weekend morning, so there were very few cars on the way. It only took Lin Jiege around 10 minutes to reach the hospital. He didn't rush upstairs. Instead, he parked the car at the entrance of the hospital building and waited in it. Around 15 minutes later, he finally saw Shi Yao holding a strawberry-covered parasol at the entrance of the hospital building. After Shi Yao entered the hospital building, Lin Jiege pushed open the car door and got out. He first looked at himself in the rearview mirror to ensure that his looks were up to standard before heading to the car trunk to grab the breakfast bags and headed for the hospital building. When he arrived at his grandfather's ward, Lin Jiege wasn't in a hurry to enter. Instead, he looked at himself in the mirror by the side before pushing the door open. He knew that Shi Yao was inside, but he feigned ignorance. As soon as the door opened, he called out nonchalantly, "Grandfather." Just as Lin Jie had hoped, everyone in the ward immediately turned their heads to look at the door. Upon seeing who it was, Grandpa Lin, Shi Yao and Auntie Sun were astonished. Lin Jie didn't give anyone a chance to speak at all. As he walked into the ward, he spoke up once more, "Breakfast is here." As he said those words, he glanced at Auntie Sun calmly and said, "Auntie Sun, if you want me to deliver breakfast to you some other day, say it earlier." Nodding in realization, Shi Yao reined in the astonishment on her face and greeted Lin Jie. "Morning." Hearing those words, Grandpa Lin's expression also returned to normal. With a smile on his face, he said, "Since Yao Yao is here so early, I'm sure that you haven't had breakfast yet. Let's eat together." Only Auntie Sun stared at Lin Jie with a dumbfounded look on her face. Who could tell her when and where she had texted little young master to get him to deliver breakfast? Chapter 333. Auntie Sun thought that she was hallucinating. She quickly blinked her eyes, only to find that even more question marks were floating in front of her. Paying no heed to Auntie Sun's crumbling expression, Lin Jie asked, "HM? Auntie Sun, what's wrong with you? Breakfast has already been delivered, so why aren't you helping grandfather prepare it?" As he spoke, Lin Jie began placing the dishes on the table. The sight of food immediately drew Shi Yao's attention. Grandpa Lin, who treated Shi Yao as his precious darling, only cared about calling out to her, "Yao Yao, have some glutinous rice balls, Yao, have some buns, Yao, have some 8 treasures porridge." Auntie Sun's presence was simply too inconspicuous, so no one noticed the peculiarity in her expression. As such, no one asked her whether the matter was true or not. She could only follow Lin Jie's instructions and place the breakfast on the table. When all the dishes were served, old Master Lin frowned. "Auntie Sun, why are they all sweet breakfasts? Don't you have my favorite tofu pudding in youtiao?" Before Auntie Sun could say a word, Lin Jie, who was stirring the dumplings in his thermos bottle, suddenly spoke up. Auntie Sun must be getting on in her years and her memory isn't as good as before. She really didn't mention anything about tofu pudding or youtiao in her message last night." At this point, Lin Jie didn't forget to turn to Auntie Sun and ask, "Did I remember wrongly? Auntie Sun?" Auntie Sun felt aggrieved, but she didn't say it out loud. "Yes. Old master, my memory is really getting worse and worse." Grandpa Lin didn't seem to mind it at all. He shot Auntie Sun an understanding look before continuing to chat with Shi Yao. Shi Yao shot Auntie Sun a comforting smile before lowering her head to munch on her buns. As she munched on them, she nodded her head fervently in response to Grandpa Lin's concerned words. "It's fine, Auntie Sunday. You don't have to feel pressured. It's just a mistake, no one will mind it." Lin Jie consoled Auntie Sun out of goodwill before taking away the thermos flask filled with wontons and replacing it with the one he had stirred at a similar temperature. Even though Auntie Sun had her own difficulties, the atmosphere in the ward during breakfast was still very harmonious and warm. Even though Grandpa Lin didn't like sweet food, Shi Yao's soft voice of, "Grandpa, you're eating too little. Have some more, and this bun is really delicious." Have another 1 inch were enough for Grandpa Lin to swallow quite a bit of food. Standing by the side, Lin Jie didn't say much, but listening to Shi Yao's words of advice to her grandfather, even though it had nothing to do with him, he still felt like he had eaten quite a bit of food. However, this kind of atmosphere didn't last long before it was broken by someone. At the end of breakfast, someone knocked on the ward door. Chapter 334. Everyone was familiar with the person following them, but to Shi Yao, it wasn't just a simple acquaintance. In fact, she was very familiar with the other party. This was because she hadn't seen Liang Mumu ever since that unpleasant incident in the hotel on Mother's Day. In the instant that Liang Mumu and Shi Yao's eyes met one another, the expressions on their faces froze for a moment. But in just an instant, Liang Mumu had already turned to Grandpa Lin and greeted him sweetly. "Greetings, Grandpa Lin." Grandpa Lin had been hospitalized, so naturally, no one had told him about the unpleasant events that had taken place in the past. Thus, the ignorant Grandpa Lin replied amiably upon hearing Liang Mumu's words, "It's been some time since I last saw Mumu. Speaking of Mumu, I'm the one who hasn't seen you for some time. I went overseas a while ago and I just returned yesterday. Mumu told me that you were hospitalized, so I rushed over to pay you a visit. As Liang Huiling spoke, she passed the tonics she had brought over to Auntie Sun and asked, Uncle Lin, how are you doing? Are you feeling better? I'm feeling a little better. Grandpa Lin shot Auntie Sun a glance, gesturing for her to clear the table. After which he continued chatting politely with Liang Huiling. Liang Mumu stood obediently by Liang Huiling's side. While the two elders were conversing with one another, she acted as if nothing had happened at all. She greeted both Lin Jie and Shi Yao with a tone that made it seem as if they were still close friends. Brother Jia, it has been a long time since we last met. Yao, I've missed you so much. Lin Jie had never been too familiar with Liang Mumu's greetings before, so after what had happened back then, Lin Jie chose to ignore Liang Mumu's greetings. On the other hand, Shi Yao couldn't be as willful as Lin Jie. After all, the Lin clan and Liang clan had always been on good terms and she was an outsider at the end of the day. There was no guarantee that the two clans would be unhappy over this matter. If she were to embarrass Liang Mumu right before Grandpa Lin and Liang Huiling, there was a good chance that Grandpa Lin would be displeased with her. So after hearing Liang Mumu's words, Shi Yao's eyes immediately curved into a smile and she said, Mumu, I miss you too. Seated by the side, Lin Jie's mind seemed to be as clear as a mirror. He knew that Soft Bun had no choice but to get close to Liang Mumu, but even if Soft Bun had no choice, he had plenty of ways to deal with her. Thus, after Liang Mumu heard Shi Yao's words and uttered the word Yao, Lin Jie spoke up. Yao, when I was explaining the questions to your cousin yesterday, I noticed that he wasn't very solid. I'll tell you about it so that you can take note of it and report it to him. After saying those words, Lin Jie didn't give Liang Mumu a chance to speak. He instructed Shi Yao to use her phone to jot down his words as he started talking about the important topics for mathematics and science. Having heard every single word of Lin Jie's words, Liang Mumu's face grew a little agitated. Brother Jia is calling Shi Yao now? Explaining the questions to your cousin yesterday. When did Brother Jia get so close to Yao to the point where he would even help her cousin with his homework? As Lin Jie spoke, he discreetly shot a glance at Liang Mumu, and only after noticing the slightly embarrassed look on her face did he retract his gaze in satisfaction. You must be joking. Do you think that anyone can mistreat my people so easily? Chapter 335. You must be joking. Do you think that anyone can mistreat my woman so easily? Do you think that everyone is willing to put on an act with you? Even if Soft Bun is willing, I'm not. With this thought in mind, Lin Jie intentionally leaned in a little closer to Shi Yao and continued calling her Yao. With a gentle voice he got to the point. Didn't Brother Jia hate to get too close to women? But the distance between him and Shi Yao was so close that his face was almost touching her hair. Also, didn't he always use that cold and indifferent tone when talking to others? But his current voice was so gentle that it didn't sound like the him she knew at all. Liang Mumu stared at Lin Jie and Shi Yao, and her fingers curled up slightly as she tugged on her sleeves. Liang Huiling was chatting with Grandpa Lin, Shi Yao was chatting with Lin Jie, and Auntie Sun was washing the thermos flasks for breakfast. For a moment, Liang Mumu felt a little redundant. She didn't want to interrupt the conversation between elders, so when Lin Jie didn't say anything she refused to give up and took the initiative to talk to Shi Yao and Lin Jie. But Lin Jie never gave Shi Yao a chance to speak. This made Liang Mumu even more awkward. Even though she was still standing elegantly beside Liang Huiling, her legs were trembling in anger. Roughly half an hour later, Grandpa Lin and Liang Huiling were finally done with their small talk. Only then did Lin Jie stop talking to Shi Yao. Grandpa Lin asked, "Where's Auntie Sun? Did she go out? I wanted her to wash some fruits for us to eat." "Grandfather, I'll go wash them." Shi Yao stood up and picked some fruits. Just as she was about to head to the washroom, Liang Mumu suddenly spoke up once more. Her tone was just like before, carrying a hint of coquettishness. "Yao, I want to eat some cantaloupe. Can you cut one for me as well?" Lin Jie frowned. Unlike before, Grandpa Lin and Liang Huiling didn't say a word, but the moment Liang Mumu spoke, both of them heard her words. There was no way Shi Yao could ignore Liang Mumu in front of her elders. Thus, after hearing the latter's words, she could only smile and reply, "All right, I got it." After saying those words, Shi Yao returned to the fruit basket and picked up a honeydew melon. After Shi Yao entered the washroom, Lin Jiege sat on the chair for a moment. Glancing over, he saw that there was still a cantaloupe left in the fruit basket. A thought flashed through his mind and he said, "I'll go and help you." After which he stood up, walked over to the fruit basket, took the last remaining cantaloupe and walked into the washroom. After washing the fruits, Shi Yao brought them out, found a fruit knife and began cutting them. The plates in the ward were small, so Shi Yao had to split them into two. One plate was cantaloupes, the other was apples, oranges and grapes. Putting down the fruit knife, Shi Yao was just about to take the 2 plates of fruits over when Lin Jiege swiftly picked up the plate of cantaloupe before her. Walking up to Grandpa Lin and Liang Huiling, Shi Yao placed her plate of fruits on the table. Then she opened up a path for Lin Jiege. With a nonchalant expression, Lin Jiege passed the fruit platter to the table with a single hand. It was hard to tell whether it was due to his carelessness or something else, but the platter ended up falling to the ground, shattering into smithereens. Even the cantaloupe chunks scattered all over the floor, stained with dust, making it inedible. Chapter 336. Right after Lin Jiege said those words, Auntie Sun pushed the door open and entered the room. After which he turned to her and said, "Auntie Sun, clean up the room and cut a honeydew melon." Auntie Sun, "Yes, young master." Auntie Sun had always been a swift worker, so it didn't take long for her to clean up the mess on the floor. Following Lin Jiege's instructions, she went to fetch some cantaloupes, but other than watermelons, apples and bananas, there were no other fruits in the fruit basket. Thus she said, "There's no more cantaloupes in the ward. If you want some, I'll go out and buy some, Lin Jiege. It's not me who wants to eat it." Auntie Sun was taken aback. Grandpa Lin spoke up, "It's Mumu who wants to eat it. Auntie Sun, go and buy one for her." Liang Huiling hurriedly stopped him. "Oh, it's not necessary. It's not like we can't eat at home. Do we have to eat here?" Since her aunt had already said so, Liang Mumu quickly chimed in as well. "Yes, yes. Grandpa Lin, there's no need for that. I was just saying it out of curiosity, so let's just forget about it." Hearing Liang Huiling and Liang Mumu's words, Grandpa Lin didn't pursue the matter any further. "All right then. Have some other fruits." Liang Mumu replied with a sweet smile. "Thank you, Grandpa Lin." Lin Jiege shot a glance at Liang Mumu's slightly uncomfortable smile, but he didn't say a word. Instead he pretended to be Shi Yao, lowered his head slightly and leaned in close to Shi Yao. "Yao, what did you say?" With an apple in her mouth, Shi Yao shook her head, indicating that she didn't say anything at all. On the other hand, Lin Jiege continued, "You said that you want to drink a little?" When old Master Lin heard this, he immediately replied, "Yao Yao wants to drink a little? In that case, Auntie Sun, hurry up and go buy it." Shi Yao hurriedly swallowed the apple in her mouth and said, It's fine. I have to line up for Dian Dian, so I won't drink it. Auntie Sun is the one queuing up, not you. If you want to drink anything, just tell Auntie Sunday. She knows how to drive." As Grandpa Lin spoke, he turned to Lin Jiege and asked, "You drove here, right? Give the car keys to Auntie Sun." "Shi Yao, there's really no need. I really don't want to drink it." However, Grandpa Lin, Lin Jiege and Auntie Sun acted as if they hadn't heard her words at all. Those who handed over the keys handed over the keys, those who took the keys took over the keys, and those who took the keys took over the keys. As she didn't say anything about the flavors, Lin Jiege decided for her. After Auntie Sun left the ward, Lin Jiege shot another glance at Liang Mumu. This time, not only did the uneasy smile on the girl's face disappear, even the corners of her lips tightened. "Heh. You want soft bun to help you cut the cantaloupe? Then you have to be able to eat it. Also, if you politely say that you don't want to eat honeydew anymore, Grandpa won't buy it for you. But soft bun is different from you. As long as Grandpa thinks that she wants to eat it, regardless of whether she really wants to eat it or not, even if she doesn't know how to eat it, Grandpa will still buy it for her." So facing such an ending, were they surprised? Are you surprised? Should I slap his face or not? To think that she could bully soft bun right under his nose, she must be daydreaming, indulging in fantasy. Oblivious to Lin Jiege's thoughts, Grandpa Lin asked, "Yao Yao, what's a little bit?" "Shi Yao, it's milk tea." "Grandpa Lin, you like to drink it?" Shi Yao nodded. It's just that they have to line up frequently." "That's not a problem." Grandpa Lin replied nonchalantly. I'll get someone from my company to join little bit later on and have them serve you exclusively. Chapter 337. Hearing Grandpa Lin's words, Lin Jiege silently gave his grandfather a thumbs up in his heart and awarded him the title of Godly Assist of the Year. After which he glanced at Liang Mumu's face once more. Compared to the displeased look on her face from before, the awful look on her face was much more obvious. It wasn't that everyone in the room was against her. Who asked her to cause trouble for soft bun time and time again? It's everyone's first time getting married, so why are you the only one who's causing so much trouble for me? Not too long after Auntie Sun left, Grandpa Lin's attending physician came over to check on him. After checking on Grandpa Lin's body, the attending physician habitually explained Grandpa Lin's current condition to Lin Jiege. There was a slight improvement, but the situation still didn't look too optimistic. After hearing those words, Lin Jiege asked, "Is it fine if Grandpa is discharged for a short period of time?" The attending physician glanced at Grandpa Lin and after receiving the latter's affirmative gaze, he replied, "A day or two is fine, but I don't recommend him to leave the hospital for too long." Lin Jiege nodded. "It's Grandpa's birthday next month, so we'll have to hold a birthday banquet. If Grandpa still hasn't recovered by then, I'll have to trouble the physician to make 2 more trips to our residence." The attending physician, "No problem, that's fine." Listening to the conversation between Lin Jiege and the attending physician, Liang Mumu's eyebrows shot up in astonishment. Grandpa Lin's birthday next month. Then, with such thoughts in mind, she discreetly shot a glance at Shi Yao before lowering her eyes to conceal the scheming glint that flashed across her eyes. After the attending physician left, Liang Mumu immediately spoke up. "Brother Jia mentioned Grandpa Lin's birthday earlier, and I suddenly remembered that Yao Yao had already prepared a birthday present for you a month ago." Shi Yao frowned. She did remember Grandpa Lin's birthday, but she had been worrying about what kind of present she should prepare for him recently. So, how could she possibly have prepared a birthday present for him a month ago? "Grandpa Lin, I'm sure that you'll like that birthday present. Yao Yao bought an inkstone for you and I was right beside her when she bought it. It's really special." At this point, Liang Mumu suddenly covered her mouth as if she had accidentally spilled the beans. Then she continued apologetically. I accidentally spilled the beans about what the present is. However, I won't tell you what it looks like so that you won't be surprised by it." "Inkstone. It's really my favorite. But even if Yao Yao gives me something else, I will still like it." As he spoke, Grandpa Lin turned to Shi Yao and said, "Yao Yao, you actually started preparing my birthday present a month ago? I didn't dote on you for nothing. Inkstone. Even the better inkstones should be expensive." Liang Mumu knew that she didn't have the money, so was she trying to set a difficult problem for her? However, Grandpa Lin had already said such words to her, not to mention that Liang Mumu had beaten her to it. It seemed like she could only admit defeat. Shi Yao contemplated for a moment before replying to Grandpa Lin, "It's Grandpa's birthday. I'll definitely be very concerned about it." Knowing that this was the only reply Shi Yao could give, Liang Mumu's lips curled up into a cold sneer upon hearing Shi Yao's reply. Shi Yao didn't have much money, so even if she were to buy an inkstone, it was impossible for her to get a good one. On the other hand, all Liang Mumu needed to do was to find out what the inkstone Shi Yao bought looked like, and she would be able to match her real inkstone against her fake one during Grandpa Lin's birthday banquet. Chapter 338. The Lin clan was one of the few prestigious clans in Beijing. There were bound to be many influential people attending Grandpa Lin's birthday banquet. If someone were to learn that Shi Yao's inkstone was a fake in front of so many people, just the thought of it made Liang Mumu's blood boil. It would surely be an exciting scene, wouldn't it? Shi Yao would surely become the laughing stock of the entire Beijing circle. Lin Jiege's mother, Jiang Wangui, had always been a proud person and she despised useless people the most. If she were to succeed this time, Jiang Wangui's impression of Shi Yao would surely plummet. So what if Grandpa Lin liked her? So what if Lin Jie liked her? Jiang Wangui was the strongest person in the Lin clan, not to mention Grandpa Lin was already an old man, and he didn't have many years left to live. All she had to do was let Jiang Wangui know that Shi Yao was a useless person. Jiang Wangui might not do anything to Shi Yao in consideration of Grandpa Lin, But once Grandpa Lin passed away, with such thoughts in mind, the cold sneer on Liang Mumu's lips grew even more pronounced. She had failed on Mother's Day. She wouldn't allow herself to fail again at this birthday banquet. She had liked Lin Jie ever since she was young, and she had liked him for many years. She had always thought that with her cousin Liang Juxi's relationship with Lin Jie, she would stand a chance. Who could have thought that Shi Yao would suddenly appear out of nowhere? She looked down on Shi Yao from the bottom of her heart, but she still endured it and befriended her so that she could find out about the situation between Shi Yao and Lin Jie. When she learned that there was no interaction between them, she was overjoyed on the inside, even though she was criticizing Lin Jie along with Shi Yao on the surface. Even when they met in the SKP elevator a long time ago, it was something she had arranged in advance. She had learned from Liang Juxi that they were going to have a meal at SKP, so she had informed one of the girls in their group beforehand. Back in the elevator, Lin Jie hadn't recognized her at all, and she had been overjoyed. She had intentionally asked Lin Jie why he was ignoring Shi Yao so as to embarrass her. Over the years she had resorted to such little tricks many times. For example, when Lin Jie went out for a meal with a certain lady, Lin Jie would send a certain lady home. But in truth that wasn't the truth at all. She was intentionally telling Shi Yao about it, and she didn't forget to mention how good that lady's background was so that Shi Yao would feel inferior to Lin Jie and feel that she wasn't worthy of Lin Jie, thus widening the gap between the two of them. So when Shi Yao told her that she was going to cancel her engagement with Lin Jie, she had already expected this. This was all part of her plan. She had waited for 6 years and this day had finally arrived. No one knew that when she parted with Shi Yao that day, she cried in agitation in the car. After she calmed her emotions down, the first thing she did was run home to complain to Grandpa Lin about it. She wanted to create a misunderstanding between them so that Lin Jie would hate Shi Yao even more. She was determined to win and she was brimming with confidence. Yet after some time had passed, Lin Jie actually brought her along to participate in Liang Juxi's game. She had tampered with the game that day to ensure that Lin Jie wouldn't kiss Shi Yao. Yet she had been slapped in the face time and time again. It was then that she realized that the one who hadn't changed was Shi Yao, and the one who had changed was Lin Jie. She had spent so much time and effort to convince Shi Yao to cancel her engagement with Lin Jie, but who could have thought that Lin Jie would actually care about Shi Yao? Chapter 339. As Liang Mumu went through the past in her heart, she couldn't help but clench her fists tightly. No matter what, she had to succeed at Grandpa Lin's birthday banquet. After the attending physician left, Liang Huiling and Liang Mumu stayed in the ward for a little while longer before leaving. Thus, only Grandpa Lin, Lin Jie and Shi Yao were left in the ward. Without Liang Mumu's interference, Lin Jie reverted back to his usual cold and silent self, leaning against the windowsill and fiddling with his phone. Grandpa Lin and Shi Yao were chatting quietly, and the atmosphere in the ward was relatively peaceful, making it comfortable to stay here. Lin Jie wasn't paying attention to what the two of them were talking about, but as he tapped on his phone, he raised his head to look at the scene by the bed, and an indiscernible hint of gentleness slowly crept into his cold eyes. By the time Auntie Sun returned from buying some food, it was already 11 in the morning. Grandpa Lin, who had been feigning weakness for 4 to 5 hours, felt that if he were to continue like this, he would have to feign illness even if he wasn't sick. So as soon as he saw Auntie Sun, he immediately urged Lin Jie and Shi Yao to leave with glowing eyes. Jie Yao, I'm a little tired. Auntie Sun is back, so I don't need you here anymore. You should go back to your own matters. As he spoke, Grandpa Lin feigned exhaustion and coughed twice before gesturing for Auntie Sun to help him lie down. In order to make his illness seem more real, Grandpa Lin closed his eyes and coughed a few times forcefully. Understanding Grandpa Lin's intentions, Auntie Sun covered him with a blanket before whispering to Lin Jie and Shi Yao to leave. The old master has fallen asleep, and there's no point in you staying here any longer. You should head back. Lin Jie and Shi Yao didn't insist. One instructed Auntie Sun to take good care of her grandfather, and the other obediently bade farewell before Auntie Sun escorted them out of the ward. Auntie Sun wasn't in a hurry to return to the ward. Instead, she stood by the door until Lin Jie and Shi Yao entered the elevator before returning to the ward. The moment she closed the door to the ward, old Master Lin, who was lying on the bed as if he was terminally ill, suddenly threw off his blanket, got off the bed and began to practice Tai Chi. It's fortunate that they don't come every day. If they came every day I would have to pretend to be sick. Auntie Sun, there's still one of the ice cream I asked you to buy yesterday, right? Help me get it. Also, where's my chess set? Take it out. I'll bring it to the ward next door and ask old Sun to play a few rounds. Following Grandpa Lin's instructions, Auntie Sun pulled aside the bedsheets and pulled out a mini fridge to grab some ice cream. Then she took out a chessboard. Lin Jiage, Lin Jiage, Lin Lin Jiage. Following behind him, Shi Yao was stunned for 2 seconds before she realized that he was talking to her. So she hurriedly nodded her head and replied, "On it," she said, "T-sheet T, S-teat help but T-shirt T-teat sure took lint." Lin Jiage shot a glance at Shi Yao but he didn't say a word. Instead he pressed on the key in his hand and upon seeing the car lights coming on, he took the lead and walked toward the car. Gigging. Sure T. Chapter 340. On the way to the campus, Lin Jiage received a call. By the time he hung up the call, he was already almost at the entrance of G University. Lin Jiage turned to look at Shi Yao, intending to ask her if she was going back to the dormitory or somewhere else. But before he could say anything, he caught sight of the phone Shi Yao was looking at. She's browsing Taobao. The first thought that popped up in Lin Jiage's mind was to buy food. But when he saw the search term she was looking for, he couldn't help but frown. Inkstone? Soft Bun was actually looking at an inkstone. Could it be that Soft Bun didn't buy any inkstone for grandfather's birthday present? Then, according to Liang Mumu, Soft Bun had prepared a birthday present for grandfather a month ago. Was that pure nonsense? Liang Mumu and Soft Bun's relationship had clearly broken down. So what was Liang Mumu's motive for doing this? Lin Jiage's frown deepened. Roughly 30 seconds later he had a rough idea of what was going on. If Liang Mumu were to compare herself to Soft Bun, there was no doubt that Soft Bun had a weakness. And to Liang Mumu, Soft Bun's greatest weakness was her lack of money. Since Liang Mumu told Soft Bun that she wanted to buy an inkstone right in front of her grandfather, the poor Soft Bun could only buy an ordinary one. Putting aside what Liang Mumu was up to, this ordinary inkstone could very well be her weapon. Or to be more precise, it could only be described as ordinary. So, Liang Mumu's words in the ward were actually to dig a hole for Soft Bun? A sharp glint flashed across Lin Jiage's eyes. "We're here." Shi Yao was the first to notice that the car had arrived at the female dormitory. She exclaimed in surprise before turning to Lin Jiage. She was just about to say, "We're here," when she noticed that there was something amiss with the young man's complexion, and the words at the tip of her tongue abruptly died in her throat. Upon hearing her voice, Lin Jiage quickly stepped on the brakes. The car came to a stop, and just as Shi Yao was about to alight, she took another glance at Lin Jiage, and seeing that his complexion was still a little pale, she pondered for a moment before asking, "Did something happen?" Lin Jiage frowned. A few seconds later he realized that it might be due to his pale complexion, so he quickly shook his head and replied, "Nothing." After a pause he added, "I'm thinking about the project." "Oh, I see." Shi Yao didn't doubt his words at all. She smiled and said, "Goodbye then. Thank you for sending me off." The corners of Lin Jiage's lips curled up slightly as he replied with a soft "hum." After sending Shi Yao off into the female dormitory, he picked up his phone and made a call. "I have a favor to ask of you. Can you help me look for a particularly high-end and expensive inkstone?" Money isn't a problem." Chapter 341. Lu Benlai and Xia Shangzhou greeted him one after another. "Boss?" Lin Jiage stared at the two of them in surprise for a moment before asking doubtfully, "You're going out?" "Xia Shangzhou, that's right. I'm going shopping with little Lilai." Lu Benlai, "That's right, boss. I've been through a lot of hardships and I've finally found an opportunity to get close to my wife." "Xia Shangzhou, she's my future wife and an uncertain future wife at that." Lu Benlai, "Is there a difference between a future wife and an actual wife?" "Xia Shangzhou, what's the difference? You ignorant and incompetent grandson." Lu Benlai, "The heck you unfilial grandson." Lin Jiage was already used to the two of them bickering over the slightest matter. His eyebrows shot up and without saying a word he walked past them and headed back to his seat. But a second after he sat down, Xia Shangzhou suddenly spoke up. Boss, there's something you might not know yet. Yesterday little Lili and I were eating cold noodles at the back of the school when we bumped into a girl that little Lili had taken a liking to. Little Lili took out a love letter that he had been writing for a month and passed it over to the girl. Guess what happened, boss? Lu Benlai, grandson, shut up. Ignoring Lu Benlai's protest, Xia Shangzhou continued gleefully. The girl didn't even spare a glance at little Lili. She said that she didn't want it and little Lili shamelessly insisted on giving it to her. Lu Benlai, how am I shamelessly? I'm just chasing after her relentlessly. In the end, the girl grew impatient with little Lili, so she accepted the love letter. Little Lili was overjoyed, but the next second the girl threw the love letter into the trash can. Little Lili, who was overjoyed for less than 2 seconds, asked the girl, "Why didn't you take a look at it?" The girl replied coldly, "Since you've given me the love letter, it's mine. Do I need your opinion on how I want to deal with it?" After that, the girl put down her chopsticks, left the petrified little Lili behind, paid the bill and left. After finishing his story, Xia Shangzhou began laughing mercilessly at Lu Benlai. Lu Benlai, what the heck are you laughing for? Is it that funny? Xia Shangzhou replied, yeah, I want to laugh when I see my grandson being humiliated. You can't hit me, can you? I can't help it, I'm just that strong, huh? Lu Benlai, it's over. My grandson has gone mad. Boss, I haven't finished yet. Do you know why little Lili wants to go shopping today? That's because he heard that the girl he's interested in is attending the French elective class tomorrow, and he's intending to attend it as well. He said that he'll be able to improve their relationship as quickly as possible. She doesn't even want to read his love letters, but he's intending to attend a class with her to improve their relationship. Chapter 342. Thus the three of them left room 501 side by side. And so, the three of them skipped their afternoon classes and shopped around the mall until 6 in the evening before returning to school with their shopping bags. And so, the next afternoon, Lin Jieji and Lu Benlai took a bath and changed their clothes, surrounding Xia Shangzhou and asking, "What do you think of this? What about this?" After going back and forth for around an hour, the three of them headed to the open French elective class in school. Shi Yao and Leng Nuan were the first ones who wanted to attend the French elective class. Later on, He Tian and Jiang Yu saw that two of their roommates were going, so they decided to tag along as well. Shi Yao and the others arrived rather late, so by the time they reached the classroom, the seats at the front were already filled. Even if there were empty seats, it was only 2-1. Thus, the four of them chose a row at the back and sat down in a row. Soon the bell rang. The French elective was a native of France. After walking into the classroom, before he could even speak, the door to the classroom was pushed open, and 3 male students walked in. Shi Yao and the others recognized the three of them. The first to enter was Xia Shangzhou. Everyone in the classroom was extremely calm. As the elective class hadn't started yet, they were either swiping their phones or whispering to one another. The classroom was in complete chaos. The second to enter was Lu Benlai. He was dressed in a peach-pink t-shirt. The color of his t-shirt was simply too eye-catching, and quite a few people turned to look at him. The commotion in the classroom quieted down a little. The third person to enter was Lin Jieji. As usual, he was dressed in white, but today he was wearing a white shirt that accentuated his tall and slender figure to perfection. Furthermore, he had applied hair wax to his hair, so it didn't hang down casually like it usually did. Instead, it was slanted, revealing his plump forehead. This made him look no different from a male lead in a Korean drama that would shock the hearts of the audience. Lin Jieji was an influential figure in the school, and there was a popular saying in Ji University. If 9 out of 10 students know the name of the principal, then 10 students would definitely know who Lin Jieji is. Therefore, the moment he stepped into the classroom, he attracted everyone's attention. At the same time, the entire classroom immediately quieted down. However, this silence didn't last for more than 10 seconds before Shi Yao heard whispers coming from all directions. Wow, Lin Jieji, he's so handsome. Yeah, this is the first time I've seen him in person. I didn't expect him to come to my French class. If I'm not wrong, the next French class will be packed. Putting aside the bystanders, even Shi Yao was dazzled by Lin Jieji's beauty for a moment before falling into a daze. Chapter 343. It was only when Lin Jiege walked up to her row and slowed down that Shi Yao couldn't help but grab her pen tightly. It can't be that, he's going to sit beside me, right? As this thought flashed across Shi Yao's mind, she began to feel even more nervous. She subconsciously raised her eyes to sneak a glance at Lin Jiege. He really did stop at the aisle beside her. Shi Yao gulped down a mouthful of saliva nervously, and even her breathing became a little cautious. Just as she thought that Lin Jiege would sit beside her in the next second, and everyone's gazes would fall on her, Lin Jiege's figure suddenly moved. Then, accompanied by a few slight noises, Shi Yao felt the table behind her shake slightly. Lin Jiege had taken the seat right behind her. So, I was just thinking too highly of myself. Shi Yao heaved a sigh of relief as she loosened her grip on the pen in her hand. After Lin Jiege found a seat, Lu Benlai and Xia Shangzhou also took their seats. Shi Yao and Leng Wan sat in the same row, but Jiang Yu and He Tiantian were between them. Without a doubt, Lu Benlai chose the seat behind Leng Wan. As a result, Xia Shangzhou, who was sandwiched between Jiang Yu and He Tiantian, couldn't help but glance at Jiang Yu and He Tiantian. In the end, Xia Shangzhou decided to put down the two seats between Lin Jiege and Lu Benlai, filling up half of the seats. Compared to Boss and Lu Benlai, who could only look at the back of one person's head, he was much better as a third wheel. He could look at two people at once. After Lin Jiege, Lu Benlai and Xia Shangzhou were seated, the French teacher announced that the class would begin. There were still quite a few people who turned their heads to look at Lin Jiege. It was only when the French teacher announced that the class would begin for the third time did the classroom finally fall silent, and everyone's gazes finally returned to the podium. In the first place, Lin Jiege, Lu Benlai and Xia Shangzhou weren't here to listen to the lecture. So after the French teacher began the lecture, Xia Shangzhou took out his phone, put on his earphones and began playing games. Lu Benlai supported his chin with his hand as he stared intently at Leng Wan's back. On the other hand, Lin Jiege took out an advanced mathematics textbook that he had borrowed from the school library and began reading it. While he was reading, Lin Jiege would occasionally listen to the French teacher's lecture, paying attention to the latter's words from time to time. This lesson was really child's play. If he listened to it too much, would it lower his IQ? With this thought in mind, Lin Jiege calculated in his mind for a moment, and after solving a complicated problem he flipped through the pages of the book. If it wasn't for Soft Bun, I wouldn't have come at all. With this thought in mind, Lin Jiege subconsciously lifted his gaze to look at Shi Yao's back. The clothes she was wearing today were a little loose, which made her slender back look even thinner. She sat upright in front of the table listening to the lecture with her back straight. He could vaguely see a small part of her arm which was whiter than snow. Lin Jiege stared at Shi Yao's slender arms for a moment before shifting his gaze back to the book. However, barely after taking a second look, a thought suddenly struck him, and he raised his head once more to look at Shi Yao's back. So it wasn't an illusion. Her clothes really were a little translucent. He could even see the color of her underwear. It was a light pink. Luckily, he was the one sitting behind her. Lowering his head, Lin Jiege continued reading his book. Chapter 344. Beauty really is the bane of men. Lin Jiege lampooned in his mind as he closed his book and leaned lazily against the back of his chair, staring straight ahead. He was tall, so he was able to see past Shi Yao's head. In truth, he was just casually looking around, but a man and woman in front of him suddenly caught his attention. The man and woman seemed to be a couple, and they were secretly holding hands under the table. The man had a pen in his hand and he seemed to be taking notes. On the other hand, the woman's left hand was on the table, fiddling with her phone. There's actually a class like this? Lin Jiege stared at the couple curiously for a moment before he turned his gaze back to Shi Yao. Even though what he had just done was inappropriate at the very least, it was disrespectful to the teacher in the classroom. However, if Soft Bun were to be with him, he would be willing to accompany her to class and do those inappropriate things together. Putting aside taking notes, even if he had to copy a textbook, he would do it for Soft Bun. It had been 3 years since he entered university, and the ones sitting beside him had always been those two fools. Just the thought of it made his heart ache. While Lin Jiege was intensely disdainful of Lu Benlai and Xia Shangzhou, He Tiantian, who was sitting beside Shi Yao, leaned over and whispered to her. Yao Yao, Nguyen said that she's here to learn French so that she'll have better job opportunities after she graduates from university. What about you? Shi Yao tilted her head and leaned over to He Tiantian's side. For French red wine and delicacies. This answer is really Shi Yao. But if Soft Bun is learning French just for that, there's really no need for her to do so. I'm a good French teacher, so I'll accompany her. I'll be responsible for the language and money, and all she needs to do is eat. While Lin Jiege was deep in thought, He Tiantian spoke up once more with a love-struck look on her face. Yao Yao, don't you think that our French teacher is really handsome? Do you think that Soft Bun is as love-struck as you? Lin Jiege thought disdainfully in his mind, but a second later Shi Yao replied, yes. He's so cool when he's talking about French delicacies. You can even be praised for that. Lin Jiege was speechless for a moment before he leaned over to Xia Shangzhou and began speaking in French. Of course. Xia Shangzhou stared at Lin Jiege with a dumbfounded look on his face. Boss, what did you say? Ignoring Xia Shangzhou, Lin Jiege continued speaking in French. Shi Yao and He Tiantian, who were seated in front, heard Lin Jiege's voice, and they quickly turned their gazes over curiously. Noticing Shi Yao's gaze on him, Lin Jiege began to speak French in a frenzy. Xia Shangzhou was even more dumbfounded. Boss, I really don't understand. Who cares if you understand? Lin Jiege spoke up and he spoke in French. Xia Shangzhou, boss, can you please speak Chinese? The whole world is learning the Chinese language. Confucius's words are becoming more and more international. The second half of the sentence was a lyric. Halfway through, Xia Shangzhou even started humming while swaying left and right. Then he lost control of his voice and disturbed the French teacher who was standing on the podium and lecturing non-stop. Following which, the French teacher noticed Shi Yao, who still hadn't turned her head around, and Lin Jiege, who was speaking to Xia Shangzhou with his head tilted to the side. Then the French teacher pointed to Shi Yao's row and said, "The second last girl in this row, stand up." Chapter 345. For a moment, Shi Yao couldn't figure out who the French teacher was referring to. It was only when He Tiantian nudged her arm that she realized that the teacher was referring to her. Shi Yao hurriedly stood up, but before she turned to look at the French teacher, she didn't forget to glare at Xia Shangzhou. Meeting Shi Yao's gaze, the French teacher asked in French, "Student, what's your name?" Shi Yao understood what he meant. "Shi Yao." The French teacher continued speaking in French. "Which faculty are you from? Which class are you from?" Out of habit, Shi Yao still replied in Mandarin, "Year 1 English faculty." French teacher, "Please answer my question in French." Shi Yao quickly repeated what she had just said in French. The French teacher nodded and continued to speak in French for a long time. Shi Yao was dumbfounded. She had no idea what the French teacher was talking about, nor did she understand what he was asking her to do. The French teacher waited for a moment, but seeing that Shi Yao wasn't saying a word, he spoke in French once more. This time Shi Yao was able to understand what he was saying. He was asking her to translate what he had just said. But she couldn't understand a single word, so how was she supposed to translate it? Due to Shi Yao's silence, more and more people in the classroom turned to look at her. This French teacher was known to be strict in the academy. If a student whose name was called out by him couldn't answer a question, he would change the question. If a student still couldn't answer a question after 3 tries, he would choose to punish the student to stand. Could it be that Shi Yao, who had never been punished in her entire life, was going to be punished? Being stared at by so many people made Shi Yao feel a little uncomfortable. Her face grew redder and redder, and thinking about how she was likely to be punished, her resentment towards Xia Shangzhou grew deeper and deeper. "Bun, you don't know how to do this?" Lin Jiege looked at Shi Yao's reddened ears, and without any hesitation he reached his hand into his pocket. Just as he reached for his phone, the French teacher spoke once more. The French teacher repeated what he had just said before turning to Shi Yao and saying, "Think about how you should translate it. If you can't do it, I'll give you a new translation later." Following which, the French teacher spoke once more. "This young lady's name is Shi Yao, right? All right then. The male student behind Shi Yao, stand up." When the culprit, Xia Shangzhou, heard the French teacher calling him Lin Jiege, he couldn't help but burst into laughter. But before he could finish laughing, Lin Jiege shot him a cold glare, causing his body to tremble in fear, and he immediately fell silent. Only then did Lin Jie slowly stand up with one hand in his pocket and the other supporting himself on the table. He was much taller than Shi Yao. As he stood there, Shi Yao felt as if there was something looming over her. The questions that the French teacher asked Lin Jie were the same as the ones he had asked Shi Yao earlier. Lin Jie, third year mathematics department. Lin Jie replied nonchalantly to the French teacher as he took out his phone from his pocket. Lowering his gaze, he tapped into his messages and searched for Shi Yao's name. The question that the French teacher asked Lin Jie was the same as Shi Yao's. It was still a translation, just that the content was different. While listening, Lin Jie's fingers flew across his phone as he typed furiously. After the French teacher stopped speaking, Lin Jie paused for 3 seconds before he began translating the French teacher's question. His fingers did not stop moving. He spoke very slowly. Because it was all in French, she didn't understand. She couldn't help but ask, "What did you and the teacher talk about in French just now?" Lin Jie, you want to know? Shi Yao, on Lin Jie, not telling you. Shi Yao, how can this person be so despicable? All of a sudden, Shi Yao couldn't help but wonder if the person she was thanking earlier was actually Lin Jie. Shi Yao's phone vibrated once more. It was a message from Lin Jie. If you really want to know, I'll tell you about it in the future. A second after she finished reading the message, the bell signaling the end of the class rang. Just as Shi Yao was thinking about how she should reply to Lin Jie suddenly stood up. Placing his hands on the table, he leaned his body forward and leaned in close to Shi Yao's head. With a slightly perplexed tone, he said, "This future won't take too long." Chapter 347. Just as Shi Yao was thinking about how she should reply to Lin Jie suddenly stood up. Placing his hands on the table, he leaned his body forward and leaned in close to Shi Yao's head. With a slightly perplexed tone, he said, "This future won't take too long." Hearing Lin Jie's voice, Shi Yao's fingers trembled and she nearly dropped her phone. "It won't be too long in the future. What does he mean by that?" Shi Yao turned her head around in bewilderment. Lin Jie's face, which was so beautiful that it could cause one's heart to palpitate, appeared before her eyes. This time it wasn't just Shi Yao's hands that were trembling, her heart was trembling as well. The golden rays of the setting sun shone on his face through the window, accentuating the outline of his brows and eyes. He stared at her impassively, his gaze as nonchalant as ever. Even though he didn't look too different from usual, for some reason, Shi Yao felt that Lin Jie's gaze was exceptionally alluring. It was as if there was a deeper meaning hidden in his eyes that she couldn't fathom. Shi Yao stared at Lin Jie in a daze, unable to react. She felt that the atmosphere between the two of them was a little strange, but she couldn't figure out what was strange about it. Oblivious to the situation, Jiang Yu packed up her things and suddenly shouted, "Yao Yao, let's go to the canteen." Shi Yao still didn't respond. Lin Jie continued to stare into her eyes for a while longer before he finally moved his lips and spoke with a calm voice. "There's one more thing." As his voice drifted into Shi Yao's ears, she slowly regained her senses. She didn't understand what he was trying to say, so she replied with a very soft "hmm." Hearing that, Lin Jie glanced at the clothes Shi Yao was wearing before saying, "The clothes you're wearing are really ugly." Shi Yao blinked her eyes, unable to wrap her head around the situation. "Lin Jie, in my family such clothes can only be used as a cleaning cloth." Shi Yao blinked her eyes once more as she finally caught on to the situation. What did it have to do with him whether her clothes were ugly or not? Even if she was ugly, he didn't have to look at her at all. Why did he have to add that it could only be used as a cleaning cloth? Shi Yao suddenly felt that the elegant and refined young man she had seen earlier was just a facade. To think that she had felt that the atmosphere between them was strange. Had her brain short-circuited at that moment? In order to make Shi Yao throw away the clothes she was wearing as soon as she returned, Lin Jie pondered for 2 seconds before adding, "Not to mention, it's the kind of cloth used to clean the toilet." It was getting more and more outrageous. Shi Yao glared at Lin Jie with puffed-up cheeks and retorted, "If you think it's ugly, you can choose not to look at it. Besides, do you think everyone is like you, throwing away their clothes and buying new ones?" I don't have money and I can't afford new clothes. Even the mice that come to my house leave with tears in their eyes. So if you don't like it, you can either stop looking or buy me clothes. After spitting out a long string of words, Yao packed up the textbooks on the table, leaving Lin Jie, who was still in a daze from her rage, to stand up and leave. While Lin Jie was interacting with Yao, Lu Benlai wasn't idling around either. A slight frown appeared on his forehead as he whipped out his wallet from his pocket and took out a slip of paper. I do. This was the note that Yao had given him back when he was invigilating the Marxism examination. If Lu Benlai's packet of tissues could be considered as a token of love, then his note was the token of love amongst tokens of love. With this thought in mind, Lin Jie added, furthermore, Yao was the one who gave it to me on her own accord. Chapter 349. Are Boss and Little Lai Lai trying to show off that they have someone they like? Xia Shangzhou hugged his arms tightly and fell silent for a moment before replying confidently. I have Miss Five Fingers who has been by my side since I was young, understands me and never forsakes me. He. Lu Benlai scoffed. As if anyone doesn't have one. As he spoke, Lu Benlai turned to Lin Jie, intending to pull him into an alliance. Boss, tell me, do you have one? Do we all have one? Lin Jie shot a glance at Lu Benlai before replying calmly. I'm different from you. I'm not as fickle as you. I only have Yao. What does this have to do with being fickle? Lu Benlai, who had been looked down upon instead of pulling him into an alliance, was at a loss for words. Seeing Lu Benlai's embarrassment, Xia Shangzhou gloated. Other than Miss Five Fingers, I also have pride. Lu Benlai didn't understand. What the heck? Xia Shangzhou shot Lu Benlai a fool look and replied, I'm a single dog and I'm incredibly proud of it. Not only am I proud, I'm proud. After all, there's a saying that goes, lean on a mountain and it will topple over. Boss, I'm proud of myself. Unable to outtalk Xia Shangzhou, Lu Benlai quietly changed the topic. Boss, what are we eating tonight? Lin Jie casually picked up his textbook, and without thinking he blurted out the words, large canteen, before heading out of the classroom. On the way to the canteen, Lu Benlai excitedly looked at the packet of tissues that he had shamelessly tricked from Leng Wan, admiring it fondly. Noticing his reaction, Lin Jie couldn't help but curse in his heart. Childish. Then he carefully opened the slip of paper Yao had given him and read through it word by word. After which he carefully folded it up and hid it back in his wallet. There were quite a few people in the large canteen. Lin Jie circled around the crowd twice, but he wasn't able to find Yao. After placing his order, he took a seat, but he wasn't in a hurry to pick up his chopsticks. Instead, he took another look at the surrounding tables. While they were eating, Lu Benlai was so excited that he couldn't stop his mouth from gorging on his food. Boss, old Xia, please don't think that the trick I used in the classroom was too tacky. Let me tell you, my tricks are not as simple as you think. It looks like I'm looking for my wife for a token of love, but I'm actually trying to get my wife's bank account. Look, I've successfully got my wife's Alipay account. I'll transfer 520 yuan to her account in a few days. Speaking up to this point, Lu Benlai suddenly felt that it was a little boring to chat alone, so he tried to pull Xia Shangzhou and Lin Jie into the conversation. What would you do if 520 renminbi suddenly appeared in your Alipay accounts? Xia Shangzhou chewed on a chicken claw and replied, spend it. Lu Benlai, you immoral person. After which, Lu Benlai turned his gaze to Lin Jie and asked, Boss, what about you? Lin Jie scanned his surroundings and replied, I don't know. Lu Benlai, what did he mean by don't know? Are you conflicted between embezzling it or returning it? That's not it. Lin Jie replied absent-mindedly. He craned his neck to look into the distance for a moment before his gaze returned to Lu Benlai's face. I have too much money in my account. I wouldn't notice anything less than 5 digits. Chapter 350. Lu Benlai. He had nothing better to do, so why the hell would he interact with them? Wouldn't it be better for him to perform a monologue alone? Xia Shangzhou. Room 501 had been reduced from a single aristocrat and 2 single dogs to a single dog, and now he was the only single dog left. It was already hard enough for him, but why did his boss's casual reply to little Lai's questions still stab his heart? Faced with Lu Benlai and Xia Shangzhou's silence, Lin Jiege didn't realize how stinging his words were at all. He stared at the two of them for a moment before speaking up once more. If the three of us were to fall out of love one day, I'm sure that I wouldn't be as sad as the two of you. Xia Shangzhou, why? Could it be that boss doesn't love her deeply enough? Lu Benlai, or boss, could it be that you're in a fake relationship? Lin Jiege lowered his gaze as he picked up some food and replied half-heartedly, that's because I still have money even without love, and the two of you don't have money either, Xia Shangzhou. So you're still beating around the bush in the end? Then why did I respond to boss's words earlier? Lu Benlai. He knew that boss wouldn't say anything nice, but why was his memory so bad that he kept trying to chat with boss? Afraid that Lin Jiege would continue speaking, Lu Benlai quickly changed the topic back to what he was talking about earlier. Regardless of whether one of you spent the money or the other didn't know about it, I believe that if 520 renminbi suddenly appeared in my wife's Alipay account, she would surely return it to you. I'll blacklist her so that she won't be able to transfer the money to me. She'll definitely come looking for me, and I'll just have to find someone to leave a contact number with her so that I can contact her later on. That way I'll be able to get her phone number. Xia Shangzhou, I don't know where your confidence comes from, but if Leng Nuan spends it all like I did, or if Leng Nuan is an invisible rich second-generation heir like boss, who doesn't notice the change in the amount of money, what would you do? Lu Benlai, that's easy. I'll report her to the Public Security Bureau, and the police will surely have a way to contact her. I'll be able to get my wife's phone number then. In conclusion, no matter whether you return the 520 yuan to me or not, I already have my wife's phone number from the moment she handed me the Alipay page. While listening to Lu Benlai and Xia Shangzhou's conversation, Lin Jiege's thoughts drifted away. The food in front of him was barely touched, and his head kept turning in all directions of the dining room. He looked around for a long time, but he was unable to find Shi Yao. Instead, his attention was drawn to a couple sitting at the neighboring table. The couple only ordered one meal. Judging from the bowl, it should be rice noodles or noodles. The girl was playing with her phone the whole time, while the boy put the noodles into the spoon, blew on it twice and then fed it to the girl's mouth. When the girl opened her mouth to eat, the soup would occasionally drip onto her lips. The boy would take out a tissue and carefully wipe the girl's mouth. This boy was so attentive. Lin Jiege thought disdainfully before retracting his gaze. 2 seconds later, he turned his gaze back to the couple. Chapter 351. The boy happened to pick up a quail egg. Probably because the quail egg was round, the boy didn't manage to catch it. Just as it was about to reach the girl's mouth, the quail egg slipped from his chopsticks and rolled onto the girl's clothes before falling to the ground. The girl's clothes were stained with oil. She unhappily put her phone on the table and pulled a long face. The boy immediately put down his chopsticks, picked up a tissue and wiped the girl's clothes while smiling obsequiously. Due to the distance between them, Lin Jiege wasn't able to hear what the young man was saying. However, he could see that the young man had gone on for a very long time before the smile on the young woman's face finally lit up. Following which, the young man picked up his chopsticks and picked up another quail egg before carefully placing it into the young woman's mouth. After the young woman finished the quail egg, the young man picked up another one. Seeing this sight, Lin Jiege couldn't help but make a tisk sound as he turned his gaze away once more. This boy. Not only was he attentive, he was also a lackey. With this thought in mind, Lin Jiege turned his gaze back to the couple. The girl was probably full. When the boy passed her a slice of ham, she stared at the phone screen and gently shook her head. The boy, who hadn't eaten a single bite of the noodles, immediately put down his chopsticks when he saw that she wasn't eating anymore. He picked up a napkin and wiped her mouth clean before picking up his chopsticks again to fill his stomach. The boy had only taken 2 bites when the girl who was looking at her phone suddenly moved her lips. She must have called the boy's name. The boy looked up and the girl leaned over and kissed the boy on the cheek. It was probably because in the cafeteria, this couple was not as restrained as the couple in French class. After being kissed by the girl, the boy immediately broke into a smile. He randomly picked up a tissue to wipe his mouth, then turned his head and pecked the girl's lips. This boy? Not only was he attentive and bootlicking, he was also very perverted. Lin Jie averted his gaze out of pure indecency. This time he didn't look for Shi Yao anymore. Instead he turned his gaze to the window. As he stared at the cafeteria, a thought suddenly surfaced in his mind. If he were to come to the cafeteria with Shi Yao, if he were to feed Soft Bun and wipe her mouth and Soft Bun were to kiss him of her own accord, he would gladly feed her a lifetime's worth of rice. But if Soft Bun were to kiss him, would he kiss her back just like that guy? Was there still a need to say it? Of course it would. Even if he had to do it in front of a huge crowd, it didn't matter. It was perfectly legal for him to kiss Soft Bun, so why couldn't he? Not only would he kiss her, but he would also kiss her deeply. Seeing that Lin Jie had already put down his chopsticks, Lu Benlai asked, "Boss, are we leaving?" Immersed in his own thoughts, Lin Jie didn't say a word. Xia Shangzhou couldn't help but turn to Lin Jie as well. "Boss." He originally wanted to say that Boss had returned to the dormitory to play games. But just as he was about to say those words, he noticed that Lin Jie's ears were a little red, so he immediately changed his words in astonishment. Boss's face is red." Upon hearing those words, Lu Benlai immediately stuck his head in front of Lin Jie and exclaimed, "That's true. Boss, what did you think of? Why are you blushing?" Chapter 352. Lin Jie really wanted to head to the library. He was currently in charge of a project, and there were some documents that he needed to browse through in the library. Before heading to the library, he made a trip back to his dormitory room to retrieve his laptop. He arrived at the library rather early, so most of the seats were still empty. With great familiarity, Lin Jie found the book he wanted to borrow and began looking for a seat. Ever since he came to the library, he had always liked to sit in the most inconspicuous corner. It was the same this time. Grabbing his book, he headed to the corner. But halfway there, he suddenly halted his footsteps as his gaze fell upon the very center of the library. Back then, Qin Yiran had called a few hoodlums to stop Soft Bun at the entrance of the school. That night, he had bumped into them and Soft Bun had said that she was going to the library to do some questions. He had followed her over, but due to the fact that he had arrived too late, most of the seats were already occupied. Thus, he and Soft Bun could only sit at the centermost seat, which was usually the least popular among students. Lin Jie stared at the two seats that he and Shi Yao had sat on for 2 seconds before walking over to put down his laptop and book. Lin Jie didn't stay in his daze for too long. After switching on his laptop, he put in his noise-canceling earphones and began browsing through the documents. More and more people gathered in the library. Even when Lin Jie was sitting at an inconspicuous seat, he was still able to attract the attention of many. Now that he was sitting at a place where everyone could see him, many of the students in the library stopped studying and started secretly taking pictures of him with their phones. Oblivious to this, Lin Jie continued reading the documents and memorizing the main points. Time passed quietly as he studied. When he was finally done reading through everything he wanted, he heaved a sigh of relief. Rubbing his neck, which was a little stiff from spending too much time on the computer, he raised his head. He closed his eyes and rested for a moment. When the fatigue in his eyes finally subsided, he finally sat up straight. He was intending to check if he had forgotten any important points before heading back to his dormitory room. However, as soon as his gaze fell onto the computer screen, he saw two people sitting right in front of him. Judging from how close they were to each other, they were a couple. What a weird day. Why did he keep bumping into couples everywhere he went? Or was it usually like this, just that he didn't notice it at all? With such thoughts in mind, Lin Jie's gaze swiftly swept across the library. Then he realized that there were quite a few couples in the library. So, there were quite a lot of people in G University who had a significant other. While Lin Jie was digesting this revelation, the boy of the couple sitting in front of him leaned over to the girl's ear and whispered something to her. The boy's voice was really soft. If one didn't pay special attention to it, one wouldn't be disturbed. "Baby, do you know what kind of person I am?" The girl shook her head. "I don't know." The boy replied, "I'm a tacky person. But it seems like this bro has some self-awareness." With this thought in mind, Lin Jiej turned his gaze back to the computer screen, intending to look at the important points in his notes. The boy sitting in front of him continued. See the mountain as the mountain, see the sea as the sea. Heh, this brother is really humorous. Could it be that there is someone else who sees the mountains as the sea and the sea as the mountains? Lin Jiej shook his head. But when I saw you, the sea of clouds began to surge and the tides began to surge. To Lin Jiej, only money would be able to make her sea of clouds roil and the tides surge. To Soft Bun, only food would be able to make her sea of clouds roil and the tides surge. Chapter 353. Baby, I'm really blessed to have met you. For you, I'm willing to soar to the heavens to pluck the moon and dive into the oceans to catch turtles. My God. The more this guy speaks, the more ridiculous he gets. What do you mean by soar to the heavens to pluck the moon? Why don't you soar to the heavens and dive into the oceans to catch turtles? Why don't you just dive into the sea and kiss turtles? A second ago, Lin Jiej was criticizing the words of the man sitting in front of him in his heart, but in the next second, the woman sitting beside the man suddenly leaned forward and kissed him. Then with a reddened face she said shyly, me too. I'm really blessed to have met you. When we graduate from university I want to marry you. I want to bear your children. Lin Jiej's fingers, which were tapping on the keyboard, suddenly trembled. He raised his head and looked at the couple in front of him. The girl's head was slightly tilted to the side, and he could barely see her expression. Her face was brimming with happiness and excitement, as if she had the entire world in her hands. The girl wasn't exactly beautiful, but at this moment, Lin Jiej found her to be exceptionally dazzling. So, all girls like guys to say these superficial, glib-tongued sweet words? What about Soft Bun? Does she like it too? Coincidentally, just as Lin Jiej was thinking this, the phone on the table lit up. He picked up his phone and saw that it was a message from this sexy and frisky group. Tapping into it, Zhang Xian realized that Yao Loves Ice Cream had sent everyone a screenshot. It was a screenshot of PlayerUnknown's Battleground, and she had killed 2 people. Shortly after Lin Jiej looked at the screenshot, Yao Loves Ice Cream sent him a new message. Even though I didn't manage to get the chicken dinner, I still managed to avenge my teammates by killing the 2 people who killed them. Even though the 2 of them were at critical health and I only fired a shot randomly, I'm still really happy. Oh, intersection underscore intersection. Oh, juice. Awesome. Sis Yao is the best. Yao Loves Ice Cream instantly replied with a happy emoji. Expert of the monkeys. Awesome, Sis Yao is invincible. Yao Loves Ice Cream instantly replied to Expert with a laughing emoticon. Lin Jiej stared at the group chat for a moment before he racked his brain to come up with a compliment that he could think of and hit send. 111,111. Amazing, the future sniper goddess. Yao loves ice cream while the god is actually praising me. How cheerful. Yao Loves Ice Cream sent over a sending hearts emoji. Yao Loves Ice Cream sent over a hugging emoji. Hearts. Hugs. To think that Soft Bun actually gave him a heart and gave him a hug. Looking at the red heart on the screen and the 2 chubby bunnies hugging each other, Lin Jiej couldn't help but blush in embarrassment. It turned out that Soft Bun liked people praising her too. However, she had replied to him with 3 messages. It wasn't good for him to ignore her, right? Lin Jiej pondered for a moment before tapping into the emoticons. After scrolling through the emoticons for a while, he found a rose emoticon and sent it over. After that, he found a hug emoticon and sent it over. After sending the 2 emojis, the redness on his face silently spread all the way to his neck. Chapter 354. In that instant, Lin Jiej suddenly felt that the few hours he had spent in the Library of Heaven's Path wasn't his greatest harvest tonight. His greatest harvest tonight was the couple in front of him. No, to be more precise, it was the glib words of the man in front of him. By the time Lin Jiej returned to his dormitory room, it was already 11 at night. After taking a shower, Lin Jiej got straight onto his bed. As he read on, he suddenly recalled the words his French teacher had said to him after he had Yao take a seat during his afternoon French lesson. If you were given a choice to choose someone in this world to climb the highest mountain with you, drink the strongest wine, travel to the furthest territory, ride the longest train, ride the tallest Ferris wheel, enjoy the most beautiful night scenery, wait for the sunrise and sunset, and challenge the impossible between the two of you. Do you know who you would choose? Actually, he wasn't too sure whether the French teacher was asking him to translate or answer the question, so he asked in French. Translate? The French teacher shook his head and told him to answer the question. Lin Jiage nodded, and after 3 seconds of silence he replied, "If I were given such a choice, I know who I would choose." The French teacher's gaze, which had been fixed on him, suddenly turned to Shi Yao and asked, "Who is it?" Lin Jiage remained silent. Instead of getting angry, the French teacher continued, "I have a rough idea who it is, but can I ask you if my guess is right? Is it the person I just saw and the person you just texted?" Without any hesitation, he nodded his head and replied, "Yes," after which he paused for a moment before adding, "It's her." Perhaps it was due to the French people's love for romance, but from the French teacher's words he could tell that the latter had seen through his cheating act of sending a message to Shi Yao. However, the French teacher didn't punish him. Instead, after he replied to the message, he smiled and invited him to take a seat. With this thought in mind, Lin Jiage put down his phone and flipped over to face the wall. He stared unblinkingly at the wall for a long time. Then a sentence appeared in his mind. "I want to climb the highest mountain with you and drink the strongest wine. I want to travel to the furthest territory with you and ride the longest train. I want to ride the tallest Ferris wheel with you and enjoy the most beautiful night scenery. I want to wait for the sunrise and sunset with you, and then challenge all the impossible between you and me. I want to have a class with you sitting side by side. I want to eat with you and interact intimately in the cafeteria. I want to go to the library with you, reading, writing, and whispering sweet nothings. I want to be with you. I want to be with you. As long as it's you, I'm willing to do anything together. As long as it's you, Shi Yao." As these words surfaced in Lin Jiage's mind, his heart began to beat faster for some reason. He had never felt such a strong need for someone or something like this before. It was the kind of intense desire that he wished he could have immediately. Lin Jiage pursed his lips as he stared intently at the wall for a long while before he suddenly spoke up. "I've made up my mind." Lu Benlai and Xia Shangzhou also got onto the bed one after another. Hearing Lin Jiage's words, the two of them quickly sat up and asked in unison, "Boss, what have you thought of?" Lin Jiage didn't respond to their words. He continued staring at the white wall in front of him for a while longer before turning his head to look at Lu Benlai and Xia Shangzhou. Chapter 355. Lin Jiage didn't respond to their words. He continued staring at the white wall in front of him for a while before he turned to Lu Benlai and Xia Shangzhou and said, "I've decided to be with her." Xia Shangzhou immediately chimed in, "You've decided to be with who? Who and who and who?" Lu Benlai glanced at Xia Shangzhou from the corner of his eyes. "Grandson sure is a grandson. Is there even a need to ask such a worrying question? Even if you think with your toes, it's obvious that it's little Junior." Xia Shangzhou said, "My grandson's body structure is truly extraordinary. His head grows in his toes. Also, what if it's me instead of little Junior? Boss might just fall for me. If that's the case, I'll be able to coexist with my bank account." Lu Benlai rolled his eyes in disdain. "Boss, there's something wrong with my grandson's head and his body. He even forgot to take his medicine today. Please don't hold it against him." Facing Lu Benlai and Xia Shangzhou's mischievous conversation, Lin Jiage remained calm and composed. Even his tone was flat as he said, "I've made up my mind. I want to be with her." Lu Benlai had always been a good talker. "Haven't the two of you always been together?" Xia Shangzhou didn't back down at all. "That's right, boss. Haven't the two of you been together even before you were born?" There's nothing wrong with what he said. But other than the betrothal between him and Soft Bun, there didn't seem to be any other substantial relationship between them. This is called, "You're beautiful on the outside but you only know how you feel." With such thoughts in mind, Lin Jiage's desire to carry out the decision he had just made grew stronger. "No, what I mean is that, other than the fact that I've been together with Yao Yao even before she was born, I want to have a deeper relationship with her." Lu Benlai, "How deep?" "I know." Xia Shangzhou volunteered. Roughly 3 seconds later he replied with an oak before adding in a dejected tone, I don't think I know how long boss is, Lu Benlai. Old Xia, I didn't expect you to be such a veteran. But driving late at night sure is exciting. Boss, I support you. I'll use a month's worth of condoms to express my sincerity. Xia Shangzhou, the heck? Grandson sure knows how to take advantage of others. Then I can only support the money of the old hotel. However, my funds are limited, so boss, I can only use one night's hotel fee to express my sincerity. My god. What the hell are these two talking about? Lin Jiage cleared his throat and interrupted their thoughts. Filthy. The deeper relationship I am talking about, I want Yao Yao to be my fiancé. Lu Benlai, is there any difference from what we said? Xia Shangzhou replied, there's no difference. Isn't it still necessary to have intimate contact to become a real fiancé? Did these two guys grow up in a vat of yellow dye? To put it simply, I'm going to confess to soft bun. Lin Jiage couldn't take it anymore. Confess, do you understand? I'm not as shallow as you think. I understand. But normally after confessing, don't we still have to go to the hotel? At that time, won't we still have to have intimate contact? Xia Shangzhou nodded with a look of understanding. So, little Lai, there's going to be another man in dorm 501. Chapter 356. Xia Shangzhou, who had been stabbed in the back for no reason, immediately exploded in anger. Do you know how to talk, grandson? If you don't know how to speak properly, just fart. Even your fart sounds better than your words. Lu Benlai, I'm just speaking the truth. Think about it, Song Chaoshi will bring his wife, I'll bring my wife, boss will bring little junior, and you'll be all alone. Xia Shangzhou, so what if I'm all alone? If all of you get married, I'll be the tyrant of room 501. Lu Benlai, are you sure you're the tyrant and not the tyrant? Xia Shangzhou, what do you know? There's a saying that goes, only those who eat the best of the best will be the king of the dogs, or tyrant for short. Woof woof woof. Now I finally understand the saying, the most despicable man is invincible. Lu Benlai slapped his forehead as he turned to Lin Jiage and changed the topic. Boss, have you thought of how you should confess to little junior? I haven't. Lin Jiage shook his head. That's why I'm here to ask you. Xia Shangzhou, this? I haven't confessed before either. Why don't we ask Song Chaoshi instead? After all, he already had a girlfriend in his first year. Without any hesitation, Lin Jiage rejected the idea. Song Chaoshi isn't reliable. When Song Chaoshi was still in his first year, he went out with his current girlfriend, and the two of them drank a little too much. They made a bet, and one of them said, do you believe that I won't sleep with you? And the other said, if you're so awesome, come and sleep with me. After that, the two of them ended up sleeping together, and after that they ended up together. This clearly didn't fit the image of him and soft bun. Xia Shangzhou, that's true. Song Chaoshi clearly slept with her first before developing feelings for her. Boss, how are you going to confess? I know. Lu Benlai volunteered excitedly as he tapped on his phone. We'll have to rely on those novels I've read for now. I've saved the most classic confession scenes in those novels. Boss, listen carefully, I'll read them to you. In Bringing the Nation's Husband Home, the male lead brings the female lead back to their school and confesses on the field. The male lead gets a lot of colorful lights and a very valuable diamond ring. The male lead in Back Then I Liked You confessed in his backyard. He made a lot of balloons, and under each balloon there was a sentence of love. The male lead even put a ring in his mouth, and when he kissed the female lead he sent it into her mouth. In A Billion Stars Can't Amount to You, it was the female lead who confessed to the male lead. But I think it can be used in reverse. After the female lead received the award, she stood on the stage of the award ceremony and confessed to the male lead. She said something like, I don't want this world, I only want you. There's also To My Love the Most. Chapter 357. Xia Shangzhou, I think the first one is not bad, I like it. Lu Benlai, I prefer the fourth one. Romance. Xia Shangzhou, but the third one isn't bad either. It's a confession for the whole world to hear, how touching. Lu Benlai, if that's the case, the second option is great as well. Just the thought of having so many romantic words hanging on a balloon is truly wonderful. Xia Shangzhou turned to Lin Jiege and asked, "So boss, which one will you choose?" A hint of disdain flashed across Lin Jiege's eyes. "I won't choose either of them." Lu Benlai, "Ah? Boss, aren't you going to confess to Little Junior? How are you going to confess if you don't choose?" "I do want to confess, but how can I confess to Soft Bun in the manner of someone else's confession?" As Lin Jiege said those words, a hint of arrogance and haughtiness crept into his eyes. Soft Bun is one of a kind, so everything that she possesses should be one of a kind in this world as well. So I'll have to figure out how to confess to Soft Bun myself. This is my way of showing my sincerity. Not only that, I want my confession to be prettier than what Xiao Lai Lai just said. After saying those words, Lin Jiege tossed out a "forget it, it's pointless to ask you. I'll just have to ask you when I get back." After which he lay back down on his bed and placed his hands behind his head. Staring at the ceiling, he began to contemplate the confession scene. Shi Yao didn't have any lessons on Tuesday afternoon. After lunch, Shi Yao returned to her dormitory room and rested for half an hour. As soon as she opened her eyes, she received a message from less than 111,111, asking her to play. While Jiang Yu and Leng Wan were watching a movie, He Tian was still in the dormitory room, watching her Korean dramas with her earphones on. Since there was nothing much to do in the afternoon, Shi Yao accepted Mr. Number's invitation, logged into the game and entered the room he had shared with her. When he first started playing the game, it wasn't much different from usual. The two of them had the voice chat on so they could hear each other's voices, but they did not talk. On the third game, Shi Yao followed Mr. Numbers and parachuted down. As soon as they landed, Shi Yao entered a room nearby. In this round, her luck was off the charts. She actually encountered 2 level 3 Spetsnaz helmets in that room. After picking up a level 3 Spetsnaz helmet, she called out to 111111, "I have an extra level 3 Spetsnaz helmet here. Do you want it?" "He's here." As soon as Mr. Numbers said those words, Shi Yao heard the sound of glass shattering, and Mr. Numbers appeared right in front of her. After picking up the level 3 Spetsnaz helmet, Mr. Numbers headed to another room to loot the loot. After checking out the rest of the rooms that she hadn't been to before, she moved on to the next room. It was as if she had been blessed by the system. In the next few rooms she found 2 8x scopes. As per usual, Shi Yao passed an 8x scope to Mr. Numbers. Shortly after Shi Yao and Lin Jiege entered the third safe zone, Shi Yao found a tree that she thought was a safe spot to hide behind, but in the next second, an airdrop crate landed right in front of her. Was she hit in the face by an airdrop? Shi Yao opened the airdrop crate and found an intact level 3 helmet, level 3 armor and AWM bullets inside. The AWM was the best sniper rifle in the game. Chapter 358. After entering the final circle, Mr. Numbers abandoned his car and led Shi Yao into the circle on foot. Shi Yao often thought that she was running behind Mr. Numbers, but the truth was that she was running in the opposite direction. As such, every time such a situation occurred, Shi Yao would need Mr. Numbers' reminder before she would realize what was going on and change her direction to run toward him. Running around in the final circle made it very easy for others to notice her, so Shi Yao would often end up getting shot while running toward Mr. Numbers. Each time Mr. Numbers would be the one to save her. Due to the fact that they were playing in 2 rows, Mr. Numbers would always have to face 2 opponents at once. Even though his marksmanship was excellent, it was inevitable that he would be hit. Thus, by the time they entered the second last circle, Mr. Numbers' armor and level 3 helmet had already been destroyed. The defenseless 111,111 casually remarked that he had lost his helmet and armor a second ago, and in the next second, an airdrop fell right beside the flustered Shi Yao, who was lying in the bushes. Without any hesitation, Shi Yao opened the airdrop and said to Mr. Numbers, "There's an intact level 3 helmet and armor here." Mr. Numbers, who had been standing beside her, quickly came over and picked up the level 3 helmet and armor. After which he led Shi Yao into the final circle. After which, Shi Yao hid behind a huge boulder and quietly watched as Mr. Numbers killed 6 players in the final circle, successfully leading them to the chicken dinner. Even though Shi Yao only dealt 10 damage and 0 kills in this round, she still couldn't help but boast to Mr. Numbers, who had killed 21 players and dealt over 2,000 damage, have you realized that my existence is still very valuable? Valuable? Soon Mr. Number's voice sounded in her earpiece. Are you sure that your existence is valuable? Shi Yao paused for a moment before Mr. Number's voice sounded in her ears once more. Oh, there is. Is there a tiny bit of value in dealing 10 damage? Shi Yao pouted her lips and replied indignantly, what are you talking about? My value isn't just a tiny bit. You should know that I'm the one who gave you the best equipment in this round and the items that you lack. Even if you didn't give them to me, I could still lead you to the chicken dinner. Mr. Number seemed to be drinking water. After a few gulps, he spoke up once more. The reason why you exist is to expose my location. For a moment, Shi Yao couldn't make sense of what was going on. She took down the apple that she was about to stuff into her mouth and replied with a huh? Huh? However, Lin Jierge didn't think too much into it. As he continued playing the game, he slowly replied, what I mean is that I don't even know how to follow behind someone to escape from the blue circle. I keep running around aimlessly, and if someone were to find me, my position would be exposed. Originally, he wanted to say, I can't see the value of your existence, but I can clearly see that you're a burden. But before he could finish his words, he suddenly stopped. Last night in the library, he had learned a new skill from the male couple in front of him. Soft Bun loved to be praised. He hadn't been paying attention earlier, and it seemed like he had accidentally used a venomous tongue again. Lin Jierge cursed himself for his cheap mouth. Then he began to think of a way to salvage the situation. Roughly 2 seconds later, he spoke up without any hesitation. But I like the feeling of being the center of attention. It's all thanks to you that I can enjoy this feeling. Chapter 359. Why does it feel like there's something wrong with this situation? Based on past experiences, shouldn't Mr. Number's words be even more vicious? Munching on her apple, Shi Yao pondered for a few seconds before asking doubtfully, but, wasn't that what you said about me earlier? As she spoke, she imitated 111,111's tone and repeated what he had said earlier. Value? Are you sure that your existence is valuable? Well, there is. Is there a tiny bit of value in dealing 10 damage? After correcting his mistake, Lin Jierge secretly praised himself for his quick reflexes before heaving a sigh of relief and picking up his cup of water. But barely after he took a sip of water, he heard Shi Yao's voice and he nearly choked on his drink. Before he could react, he had said something that he shouldn't have said. Lin Jierge rolled his eyes before putting down his cup of water and replying, you're right. I did say those words earlier. But there's something wrong with your choice of words. That's what I said earlier. Value? Are you sure that your existence is valuable? Oh, there is. Is there a tiny bit of value in dealing 10 damage? However, before I could finish my second sentence, you interrupted me. There's still half of what I said, and that is, you must be joking. You're clearly valuable. This time, before Shi Yao could find fault with his words, Lin Jierge took the initiative to explain. As for what I said, even if you don't give it to me, I can still carry you to the chicken dinner. What I meant was that you only need to keep the good equipment for yourself and protect yourself. It doesn't matter whether I have any equipment or not. Even if I'm at a critical point, as long as you give me a gun and bullets, I can still carry you to the chicken dinner. On the other end of the game, Shi Yao, who had never heard Mr. Numbers speak so much on her phone, couldn't help but stop munching on her apple and frown. Why did she feel that there was something wrong with the situation? This was especially so when Mr. Numbers was speaking earlier. Why did she feel that he was acting like a lackey and trying to please her? With such thoughts in mind, Shi Yao asked doubtfully, why do I feel that there's something wrong with you? Did I? 111,111's voice came from the earpiece. Her voice was as beautiful and elegant as ever. However, Shi Yao could sense that Mr. Numbers' voice was a little tense, as if he was wary of something. Shi Yao was just about to reply with a yes, but before she could say anything, her phone suddenly rang. It was a call from the express delivery company, asking her to go downstairs immediately to pick up the package. Other than buying a gift bag of snacks online last night, she hadn't bought anything else recently. Moreover, she had just gone to take a look at the gift bag of snacks. It hadn't been delivered yet. Perplexed, Shi Yao hung up the call and walked out of the dormitory room. At the same time she sent a private message to less than 111,111 on WeChat. I'm heading downstairs to pick up a package. Mr. Number's reply was very concise. There was only a single word to it. Oh. Sure Yao didn't send him any more messages. Instead she put away her phone and ran down the stairs. The delivery box was huge. While Sure Yao was signing her name, she took a look at the delivery slip, but other than her address, there was no other information at all. This made her even more doubtful. Chapter 360. As soon as Sure Yao returned to her dormitory room, she immediately tore open the package and what she saw shocked her. It was filled with clothes. He Tian happened to be coming out from the toilet, and upon seeing the huge box of clothes she immediately exclaimed in envy, "Whoa Yao, did you win the lottery? You actually bought such a huge box of clothes." Sure Yao shook her head. "I didn't buy it." If you didn't buy it, who did?" He Tian said as she took a look at the tag on one of the clothes. "These clothes aren't cheap and they're in your size too. Yao, tell me honestly, is there a super rich second-generation heir courting you recently?" Perplexed, Sure Yao didn't respond to He Tian's question. Instead she flipped through the clothes from top to bottom, and at the very bottom of the box she saw a card. Perplexed, Sure Yao opened the card and saw a line of flamboyant words on it. "I bought you clothes, Lin Jiege." You actually want a card? What's written on it? As He Tian spoke, she inched closer to Sure Yao out of curiosity. But before she could get a good look at the words on the card, Sure Yao had already tossed the card aside and picked up her phone to send a message to Lin Jiege. "Why did you buy clothes for me?" Perhaps it was because Lin Jiege's phone was right beside him. Sure Yao soon received his reply. "You asked for it." "When did I ask for clothes for you?" "Yesterday." "Yesterday?" Sure Yao frowned. She was just about to ask him when he did it yesterday, but before she could touch her phone screen she suddenly recalled the words she had said to Lin Jiege during the French lesson yesterday. "If you can't stand it, you can either look away or buy clothes for me." He couldn't possibly have taken her words seriously, could he? Sure Yao paused for 2 seconds before replying. "French lesson yesterday?" Lin Jiege, It really was as she thought. Sure Yao didn't know whether she should laugh or cry. "During the French lesson yesterday I casually replied to you because you said that my clothes were ugly. It wasn't from the bottom of my heart." Lin Jiege, "I know." Sure Yao, if you knew, why did you still buy clothes for me?" Lin Jiege, "Apologize." Alright, even if what he said yesterday was too much and he should apologize, there was no need to apologize like this, right? Sure Yao grumbled inwardly for a moment before she typed out a reply. "I accept your apology, but I can't accept your clothes. I have to return them to you." Lin Jiege imitated the 3 exclamation marks Sure Yao had sent earlier and replied. "Lin Jiege, are you intending to make me wear it?" Sure Yao, you can choose to return it." Lin Jiege, "It's too troublesome." "Too much trouble? Returning the money you've spent? Is there anyone who finds it troublesome?" Sure Yao was just about to reply to Lin Jiege and ask him to return the shopping tickets to her, but before she could even type a single word, another notification popped up on her phone. "Lin Jiege, I don't have the habit of collecting money that I've already spent, so you can either keep the clothes or throw them into the trash can." Sure Yao fell silent for a moment before replying, "Thank you then." Lin Jiege didn't reply. Sure Yao put down her phone. Seeing that Sure Yao was no longer busy, He Tian leaned over and asked mysteriously, "Yao, tell me the truth. Have you made any progress with Senior Lin?" Chapter 361. You're lying. Senior Lin bought so many clothes for you, there's no way that there's nothing going on between you two. He Tian said as if Sure Yao was hiding something from her. Halfway through her words she suddenly thought of something and paused. A moment later she spoke up once more. Yao, if what you said is true and there's no new progress between you and Senior Lin, does that mean that Senior Lin has fallen in love with you?" This time, Sure Yao's denial was much more resolute than before. "No. After denying it, Shi Yao denied it once more, and this time her tone was even more resolute and firm. There's no way that he would fall in love with me. He Tian, why? Shi Yao didn't say a word, but the vicious words that Lin Jie had said to her when they were young kept flashing through her mind. She pursed her lips and climbed back onto her bed silently. He Tian could vaguely sense Shi Yao's displeasure, so she didn't pursue the matter any further. The dormitory room suddenly fell silent. Roughly half a minute later, Shi Yao broke the silence. Compared to before, her tone was much gentler. Are you busy? He Tian shook her head. I'm not. Shi Yao stared at the box filled with clothes on the table for a moment before asking, then, can you calculate the total price of that box of clothes for me? He Tian asked in bewilderment. A moment later she seemed to have understood something and she asked, you calculate the total price. Are you going to return the money to Senior Lin? Shi Yao nodded and replied with a light thumb. He Tian instinctively opened her mouth to ask why, but recalling Shi Yao's earlier reaction, she quickly swallowed the words back down. As a friend, there were some things that she shouldn't ask if she didn't want to say. With such thoughts in mind, He Tian nodded with a smile. Sure, wait for me. I'll calculate it for you right away. Thank you. Shi Yao smiled at He Tian before turning her head to look out the window. Usually the snacks that Lin Jie gave her were given to him by other girls. If she didn't eat them he would just throw them away. However, these clothes were different. He had specially bought them for her as an apology. Even though they were friends now, these things were far too valuable. This chest of clothes was worth at least 5 digits, so she couldn't accept it. It was just like how Grandpa Lin usually gave her some expensive things in pocket money. She didn't touch them because she knew that she would have to return them to him after the engagement was annulled. Over the phone just now, she could tell there was no way she was going to return the clothes, so she didn't continue to argue with him. What she was thinking was that when they broke off their engagement she would pay him back along with the money for the clothes. With this thought in mind, Shi Yao blinked her eyes in confusion.